Hey, everybody. This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And welcome to your live stream. I skipped a couple days, but there for a minute, I did, I think, 7 live streams in a row, maybe 6. I don't know.
Slacking. What a slacker.
They needed proof of life. After a day or two off, they were starting to really
I didn't have any days off. Even when I was sick, Peter, I was with you, remember?
I do.
That was miserable. That's the definition of misery, is hearing someone else talk about X-Men and Wolverine and not being able to interrupt and chime in with, actually, Peter, you're wrong.
Which you would never need to say.
I would never say to you. All right. Let me quickly turn around here and let everybody introduce each other. Johnny, you're going first. Since it's been a long time since you've been here.
It has been. Thanks for inviting me. That was a nice text to get this morning. Very cool. Johnny, Dying Breed Collectors. You can find me at dying_breed_collectors at Instagram, and coming to you live from C2E2 in less than 2 months. If you want to come see me and meet me, maybe even meet Omar. He might be there. Ophel might be there. Might be able to meet us. Peter might fly in from New Zealand. We're discussing the schematics. We'll see.
He's going to give you a free Dying Breed Collector's shirt. That's completely worth it.
Might be cheaper to fly there than get him to ship it here.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
That's true. So thank you for joining us, Johnny. And to his right is Ophel, who is my co-panelist, or rather, I'm her co-panelist at C2E2, if you are going to be there. So who are you, young lady?
Hello, I'm a cosplayer and occasionally pop on this channel to talk comics with you guys. All my handles, Instagram, Facebook, the lot are all under Oddfell, so definitely look that up. I'm super excited for C2, though. This is going to be my first C2E2, so it's going to be a good time.
Oh, awesome. Really quick, hold on a second. I am in English class. Kieran, I'm going to tell your dad and your mom and your teacher that you're having your phone out. That is my daughter's friend that happens to be a boy. So, strike 2, Kieran. Go ahead. Who's adorable Omni Dog?
I'm adorable. Wait a minute. I want to know.
Go ahead, Peter. Curtis.
Just before we move on, I wanted to know, Oddville, what's the panel about? So we're going to be talking about collected editions. I forget how specific we're getting into it, but we are going to be talking about like how to maintain collections and just omnibuses, how to get into them, that kind of thing. It's going to be really cool.
How to get out of them into epic collections?
Stop it, Curtis.
Exit strategies.
Stop.
I have omnibuses. Now what?
Yeah. Okay, sorry for interrupting, Omni Dog.
No, it's been a minute, man.
I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, I'm Omni Dog.
Who's that dude next to you?
Oh, this is Dupe. Free Comic Book Day Dupe. I got early.
Fun. You've read the Peter Milligan Ecstatics. Are you?
I'm in the middle of it right now. Yeah, so I am familiar with this little dude. And
one of my favorite jokes in there is the only person that can understand Dupe, and Dupe understand out of the X-Men. Always cracked me up. I thought that was a nice little touch.
Well, after this, I want to see him. Well, let me interrupt Curtis for a sec now.
Yeah,
I'll make it even. I want to. He teaches in Wolverine. Wolverine teaches class in the X-Men or whatever that one is. Wolverine and the X-Men.
Welcome back, Cotter. That one.
Is he a professor? Is there Professor Dupe in that?
Dupe does show up, but I don't think he got his credentials to teach.
Oh,
I don't think he taught anything, but he does show up. He's a part of Wolverine and the X-Men. A lot of characters are.
Yeah,
and there needs to be an evil Dupe named Poot. As a matter of fact, if you've been reading the latest Ecstatics or Excellence, what are they called? That miniseries, the Excellence.
Yeah,
funny enough.
There's an evil Dupe.
Well, maybe. All right,
yeah.
Curtis, who are you? What do you do?
My name is Curtis, part of the Epic Marvel podcast, and I just went to my website the other day for the first time in a long time and realized that I haven't podcasted in over years, so it's been a while, but still active on the live streams and talking about epic collections all over the place. And maybe even talking about some DC Finest here and there, because that looks like a pretty interesting line.
It is. It is an interesting line. And what else do you do? Are you allowed to talk about what else you do? What you do?
What else do I do? I work for a couple of book publishers, comic book publishers, the Library of American Comics, who deal with classic comic strips, doing for better, for worse books, and also Clover Press. And Clover Press is running a Kickstarter right now to bring a new color edition of Tim Sale's Billy 99, a miniseries from 1991 that hasn't been in print for a very long time.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And to his right is...
Hello, everybody. My name is Crisis with a K. I blog and have been blogging for over 23 years at crushingcrisis.com. What's a blog, you ask? It's like this video, but with words. And there, I write about all the new Marvel releases. I read everything Marvel, so you don't have to. And then I bring that knowledge here to near mint condition. So if you're looking for guides to how to collect Marvel characters, the reading order they go in, how DC characters have been collected, that's all on crushingcrisis.com.
He also links his blog posts to his MySpace account.
Wow, shots fired. Curtis!
Wow.
Whoa,
Curtis.
Is that an age joke?
That was an age joke, yeah.
Wow, I'm glad somebody else is taking the heat off of me. Go for it. Because I was going to ask, is this the stream where Peter's nice to me? And then I realized no, because he's already jamming me up in the chat.
On air, this is the nice stream. Chat, there's never really any rules.
I can see that. Before he teaches class to the X-Men, everybody loves that book. Really quick, I wanted to highlight on MFedX's Omar, new G.I. Joe pre-orders just went. Oh, I thought you meant the compendiums. Oh gosh, dang it. Okay.
Are you all right? What's happening here?
The new Joes are up, man, from Hasbro.
They go fast.
And they go fast.
They do.
Yeah. So can everybody just wait like 5 minutes?
Sure.
I'll make a live order.
Yeah.
I'll make a live order. I'm a professional, dang it. All right. Let's
share your screen. Put in that credit card info.
I'm not going to share my screen. Oh, we do have one important announcement to make about the upcoming video on Thursday, where Peter and I kicked off the Marvel Omnibus reprint poll. By the way, I hope everybody's book, at least one of your books, made it in. Curtis and I are kicking off the Epic Marvel reprint poll, and I'll be sending that list over to David once it's all said and done. So good luck, everybody, and then we can focus on Tiger Eyes, and then the DC reprint poll, and then the DC Omnibus poll, because you people are crazy and just want to vote on everything. But it's an election year, so that's why we're here.
It's thematic.
It's the most important election that you're going to have this year, too. None of my books made it either. I'm so sorry. You know what? This is the first time 2 of my books have ever made it on the list. And I'm the flipping guy that runs it, so...
Tomb of Dracula, top 2 out of 3. You know Curtis was drumming up votes, knocking on doors to make that happen.
Guy. He doesn't care.
But Curtis and I share the Tomb of Dracula love.
That's right. It's such a good book, and obviously we're not alone.
Oh yeah, right. Lots of people voted. It's insane. I didn't expect it to be that high. Is it true you can jump on G.I. Joe with issue 301? The Real American Hero? Yeah. Yeah, because Larry Hama just keeps writing the stories as if he never stopped writing them, but reintroduces you to the characters. But it's not the first time he's done it, because he did it when he was writing at IDW. He came back and wrote issues. It's really cool to see that. And I hope these compendiums, or whatever they decide to collect, do a good job of collecting those IDW issues too, before the Skybound era. So be really cool to see that collected. And my wife is here. Further into Rat Queen's story. Oh, okay, I'll let you all. Sorry about that, baby. You can carry a conversation. I didn't mean to interrupt. All right, let's go ahead and share this. By the way, a big thank you to David Gabriel and all his folks over there at Marvel Comics for giving us an advance look at this particular solicitations. These will be up in, what is this, the 29th, middle of March, right around my birthday month. All right, my birthday. Yeah. All right.
Could you announce that birthday month thing one more time to the 2 people in the...
All right. Well, that was enough of that. Oh, man, Peter let himself out. What happened? Okay, now we got to wait for Peter.
Did you mean to kick Peter out?
No.
You booted Peter up for no reason.
He was just so upset that I was talking about my birthday month again. There we go. All right, Peter, welcome back. Did you even know you were gone? You probably did not. Peter's having internet problems, but he might be able to hear us. We will see.
I can hear you. I'm here.
Okay, good. Welcome back, buddy. All right, we are kicking it off with everybody's favorite 90s Ghost Rider 2099 Omnibus. The one omnibus I did not see coming. Collecting the Ghost Rider 2099 1 through 25. And oh my gosh, I've only read the first few issues of this run, because when this run started, it was when my era of collecting comics was done. Very happy for the people that this, brings a lot of memories to. This is 632 pages, and it is $100. And you do have a Chris Sprouse direct market cover, but then you have the Chris Bachalo, Curtis?
Bachalo.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, so this is right before he went on to Generation X, and they brought him on just to give the title a boost. He wasn't supposed to do more than just a few issues, and so he unfortunately doesn't have very much in this book. But those first few issues are just excellent. I love this era of his artwork.
I do too. I'm obsessed with this kind of like 93, 94 Bachalo. And I just was reading the first few issues last night, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally months, days before he's on Generation X. But I would not say that's a reason to buy the whole omnibus, because as Curtis said, it's like 3 issues. It was really fun to see early Kyle Holtz, Holtz artwork. I love him more recently on things like Justice League Dark, but this is, like 30 years prior. And I was like, oh my gosh, I kind of know that style, this kind of neophyte version of it. But yeah, it's Ghost Rider as a machine. It's a Ghost in the Machine in the future. It's a little bit different than modern Ghost Rider.
I haven't read any Ghost Rider, and there are 3 omnis. There's a reprint of Jason Aaron's run. There's the Danny Ketch omnibus that comes out in September, and then this one here. All of them really different. And if you can only get 1 or 2, I'll be honest, if it was me, I would get the Danny Ketch one. It's a brilliant omnibus, beautiful artwork.
What if you want a good story?
Danny Ketch one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, gotta go with Ketch. I wasn't the biggest fan of Jason Aaron's Ghost Rider, and I haven't read enough of this Ghost Rider 2099 to say, well, this is better. So they're kind of you can kind of choose, but maybe Peter or Oddfell or somebody else that has read that can tell you more about. Maybe they enjoy. Are y'all fans of Jason Aaron's Ghost Rider? Anybody? I thought it was okay. Okay, no, okay. So there you go.
I never read it.
I love Bachalo's art. Bachalo, dang it, Curtis.
It's like the instrument cello, like the instrument,
Bachalo.
The emphasis is in the middle.
I gotta say, this is one of the instances where I think the standard cover is like absolutely way better than the DM. I mean, that cover is killer, dude.
Well, the standard will match the X-Men 2099 standard, and it'll match your Spidey 2099 standard because they have that frame around it.
Was the original like single issue of that foil embossed? It looks like it would have been. Yeah.
For story, go with Aaron's. Fun grindhouse, feel like some neat Ghost Rider lore. There you go.
That's true. If you like that grindhouse vibe, then it will probably work for you.
Johnny Blaze is the only Ghost Rider. Danny Ketch and Robbie Reyes and the other Cosmic Ghost Rider, who I cannot say his name because people may not have read it, and it's a big spoiler, might have something to say with that. Back out. I don't believe anybody anymore. I'm only believing Curtis. Bachalo.
I love his art, though.
Yeah. Yeah, this is before he gets into his cartoony phase, and it's just such a good. He's a different storyteller.
Mark Buckingham too, though, right? Like a lot of Mark Buckingham inks in there. That has a lot to do with that art style that I really enjoyed. If you like stories that make sense, go with Aaron. So there you go. There's some people in the chat that are telling you. Wrapping up Omnibus for Marvel Comics, all 3 in 1 year. January kicked it off, right? 2 comes out this summer and 3 comes out in November. So this is collecting ROM 51 through 75, annuals 3 and 4, Incredible Hulk 296 for the first time ever collected, not even in Masterworks. Not that we're there yet. Are we? No, we're not there yet. And 744 pages, $125. That Bill Sienkiewicz cover's awesome.
So cool.
Yeah, very good.
And for the people wondering, like, I do see these comments whenever I make these announcement videos. Like, why are they getting this stuff out of the way? Don't they know they have Spider-Man and Avengers and X-Men that they need to keep coming out in omnibus format? That pretty much has to do with licensing. They don't know how long. We don't know how long they'll have the license. So they need to get it out.
Let's say that they have a 5-year license on this. They're probably already 1 year into the license by this point, because they're not going to start any of the restoration or work or anything until those contracts are signed. And so they get them all out in 1 year, because they also want to get them out in paperback. And if we have
here goes the epic pitch. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's true. I mean, I'm sure that's built into the contract. It's like, we want to do hardcover and we want to do soft cover. And so if we split these 3 Omnis into 6 epic collections and do 3 per year, that's 2 more years. So that's almost your entire licensing period right there.
I'm going to say something right now without getting into trouble. So I'm going to try to beat around the bush, but I will say that printing something in hardcover is different than also having the license to be able to print in softcover. One does not necessarily mean that the other is for sure. And I know that for a fact because of something that has been going on in the works. And yeah, it does not mean that you're going to get a trade paperback. Like, I think the case with Conan was an interesting case, because maybe they thought they were going to have the license for a lot longer. So they were trying to get out as much as they could, but they were like, oh, we need to shift the focus to the thing that's going to get us the most money. Let's finish out the omnibus editions. And they did. I mean, well, the original Marvel years, right? The Savage Sword, not so much. But yeah, I really don't know, Curtis. And you're probably right. We're probably going to get epic collections if they do have a 5-year contract and crank those all out. And the same could be with Micronauts. But all I know so far, or what I was told, is if you're interested in getting ROM, then make sure you pre-order the Omnis.
Oh, for sure.
That's I mean, it's publisher, right?
Eventually it's going to turn into like a Master of Kung Fu thing, where like eventually they're going to be out of print, and then eventually they're not going to be able to reprint them. Like, we can't vote for the Master of Kung Fu Omnibus. Like, that would have probably eventually happened to these in Micronauts. No, like, that's the same idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's like, if you're interested in these things, like, get them while they're available, because sooner than later they're not going to be, or sooner rather than later. Yeah.
And I'll just say something I said on the Omni recap stream, which is this: people think this is like a toy nostalgia book. The toy was a flop. The nostalgia is because it was a good comic book and it was in the Marvel universe, and it was just really interesting. It was you see him and you see the character and you're like, oh, it's like a robot. No, he was a humanoid being. There's a reason he's in that suit. It's actually really interesting and has a lot of depth. It's all explained in the first omnibus and flashback stories. So it's just funny because I think people see it and they're like, oh, it's a toy. It must be like Transformers. He's a robot from space. And it's actually a lot more human and compelling than that. So while I'm not saying everybody should run out and get 3 $125 omnibuses, I think it's like a lot more than people think it is.
I do want to bring attention to this really quick, because I've seen this comment too. For being the best-selling pre-order of all time, you can find any cover you want without any issue. So there is a difference in how much the publisher sells and how much stock people get. When people see prices, and Johnny knows this because he owns his Dime Breed Collectors. When people see prices dropped from, let's just use cheap graphic novels, in-stock trades, organic price books they're having to sell, they immediately think, oh, that book sold like crap. And that's not the case. Those companies bought those books from the distribution and paid whatever the cost is for the books. what you're thinking of is liquidated prices when people think of like Ross or Ollie's. Those are the liquidation prices that come from distribution. And that's the stock that you need to keep an eye on. And really, it's been a while since we've seen some Marvel Omnis at Ollie's. Like I remember being on the Saturday streams, people are like, oh my gosh, man, it's over. Like all these Omnis are going to Ollie's. Like people made fun of like 1961, right? 1961, 1962. I've never seen anybody pop up with pictures of those at Ollie's. Those books never went to liquidation. If cheap graphic novels or in-stock trades, organic price books, Walt's Comic, whoever it is, Dime Breed Collectors is having a sale, they're biting the bullet. They're taking a cost to make room for things. And I know Johnny can fill you in on a little bit more about that than I can. But that's kind of that. There's a lot of misconception when it comes to a book is sitting there and it's lasts way over a month. That means it did not sell well.
And you mentioned like with the liquidation, like the real sign of that, I know it's kind of like a stupid thing, but the remainder marks, like, and you're saying like Ollie's and stuff, like that's when books have been liquidated. It's like if you're just getting them for cheaper, they're not necessarily liquidated like you're saying. But also, like you mentioned, the liquidation stuff, that does not happen anymore with Marvel Omnibus. Like that actually, the first time I heard about a liquidation sale, like in 2018, that's why I started wanting to open a place like Dying Breed Collectors, where I was like, wait a minute, you can get potentially these books for like liquidation prices. That just doesn't happen anymore. Like the game has changed so much in that regard. So cheaper books don't necessarily mean, like you're saying, it didn't sell well. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I figured like, since you're here, I'd take the time to clarify what that means when people are talking about the sales of something to a publisher. They don't really, they don't care if In Stock Trades is having a sell or if Cheap Graphic Novels is. They already got their money. They already got what they made out of that book. What matters is if it ends up in liquidation. Like I said, that's what. It's been a while since I've seen some of these books.
Don't we want these books to be available though? I don't see why that's even I don't see why it's a big deal that all four covers are still available at ROM. Don't we want these books to be available to people that want them?
You would want a big print run for your first book. Yeah, of course. I think they're just so used to books selling out, and books have sold out. We've seen covers sell out. We've seen direct market covers sell out.
That doesn't mean it's a failure if it doesn't sell out, right?
Correct.
What it means is they haven't accurately captured their audience. They don't, because they want, most of the time these publishers are printing to pre-order sales plus an X number of copies more, and then if their estimates are way off and they have way too many, then that means they're not really paying attention to the thing. But they want the first printing to sell out because then they can go back to pressing for a second printing.
Well, I would think that perhaps maybe like the fact that all four covers are available, maybe that's a reflection that they were properly pre-ordered. Like you're always pushing the pre-orders, and like it's bad when a book comes out and a week later it goes out of print, because maybe that's a reflection that, well, nobody pre-ordered it, so they didn't really print that many, but actually turns out a lot of people wanted it. That's where we start to get in like a mess. So when they're available like this right now, and like you said, not liquidated, maybe that's just how things like should be. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean they're a failure,
right?
But you've seen things like what was it, Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 2 go out of print so quick.
That's what I was going to bring up.
That was close to the pre-order time, right? But they are restocking it in May, and as soon as that was made available to the public, you saw the prices immediately go down on eBay, right? Like I think everybody keeps an eye on those things.
Yeah, I will say too, like as a guy who like sells stuff, like if I could always like kind of evergreen, or what, maybe not evergreen, but if I could always order copies of a book, like it makes it easier for me to be able to sell it at like a discounted price. It's when like you have limited quantities of things that you get in the game of supply and demand. But if they're always available, then like makes it easier for me and every other seller to sell them at, fair prices for everybody. So just pointing that out too.
Good conversation. I like that topic. All right. Punisher Max is getting a reprint. You all voted for it. This is the Jason Aaron and Steve Dillon run. It also has artwork in there by Roland Boshi. And this is collecting Punisher Max 1 through 22 and Punisher Max Xmas Special number 1. And $100, 544 pages. Now, when Peter and I did the video about the what was it, Peter? Was it the
A
reprints?
recap of all the omnibuses.
Yes, it was the recap.
Well,
Thank
yeah.
you, thank you, thank you. We've done so many videos lately. It's a testament to how much time you give me. Thank you for that.
I just wait in the lobby for the next live stream to start. And if I'm in the lobby, I just go live. That's what happens.
I did mention that there is a volume in between the Garth Ennis and the Jason Aaron run, and it is still available. I don't know, I haven't checked today, but it was still available at a pretty decent price. It's the volume 6 hardcover. It's the one by who was it? Did we decide? Not Straczynski, not Straczynski, and Dwayne Straczynski and Gersher, I think. Yeah. So if you're wanting everything in oversized hardcover. And Uncanny X-Men coming back with another printing, volume 2. This is a big seller. Collecting. Oddfell, why don't you tell us what it is collects? Do me the honor, please.
What is it?
Greg Hurwitz, thank you. Thank you, always an instigator. That's what it was.
So this is the original ending to the Dark Phoenix saga. It's 132 through 141. Annual 4 and 5. Uncanny X-Men 142 to 153. The Avengers Annual number 10. Marvel Fanfare 1 through 4. Marvel Treasury Edition 26 and 27.
Mhm.
Marvel Team Up 100. Bizarre Adventures 27. And Phoenix The Untold Story. This is very similar to the Phoenix Omnibus.
Yeah, do I really need this if I've got the Phoenix on the bench, Oddfell?
Huh?
I'm not talking to you people anymore.
See, the real question is, did you need the Phoenix Omnibus if you already had this? Because you should be collecting all of the Uncanny Omnibus in chronological order. We shouldn't be questioning Uncanny too. You're doing it
I would
backwards.
actually be really curious to see the layouts for this and the Dark Phoenix to see if they're an 100% overlap, because this looks very similar.
The Dark Phoenix collects the classic X-Men stuff. It's wonderfully mapped. I really like the mapping of the Dark Phoenix saga. It has like the classic X-Men stuff that needs to be in the chapters that, you know, Claremont originally visioned them in. It doesn't have like the Days of Future Past story though. And this collects Days of Future Past when X-Men became Uncanny X-Men. But volume 2, y'all voted for that one too. And I'm going to let Peter talk about this one right here. That beautiful
Dazzler, the
cover.
omnibus. You have your choices of the cover. Of course, some people would really want that cover because it has the newer Dazzler logo on it, as opposed to the classic Dazzler logo. That would be a great reason to get the Art Germ cover, or maybe you also like Art Germ. But this is a book we always thought would be too big to be in one omnibus. It was a pair of essentials. It was 4 Masterworks, and they really squeezed it in there. It's the complete Dazzler series from 1980, which, as we established on the omnibus recap video, originally was direct market only, and also all of her other major appearances in that time. She made an appearance in Spider-Man. She made her first appearance in Uncanny X-Men, and it has the Dazzler the movie graphic novel. It has Beauty and the Beast. It's really pretty complete. So the great thing about this book, which I always say, you've probably heard me say it several times in this channel, is at the beginning of Dazzler, for the first 30 issues, it's really kind of a tour of the Marvel universe. It has every possible guest star, because that was how they kept the book alive. Dazzler was not a hugely popular character, and I just like books like that. It's almost Dazzler team up at points, especially in the first 20 issues. But then in the 30s, it's much more about like her and her identity, her family, her music career. And it always is funny to me because big Dazzler fans, like Twitter Dazzler fans, they have that stuff committed to memory, and I love her, but I'm like, I'm sorry, what are we referencing here? And what issue did she talk about how her dad wanted her to be a lawyer? But that's all here.
Warren, you are a conundrum. Boo, Claremont, too old for me, and my favorite comment you've made so far, because it just doesn't make any sense. Woohoo, dazzling bus. Like, I can't imagine what your shelves look like. But good on you, man. Good on you. Tomb of Dracula, Marvel Masterworks Volume 4 is coming out, collecting the Tomb of Dracula 31 through 40, Giant Size Dracula 4 through 5, material from Vampire Tales 8 through 9, and Marvel Preview 3 and 8. 392 pages, $75. I love that color to the direct market. It's going to be interesting to see if Marvel, because they don't have to follow our reprint poll. if they do decide to reprint Volume 1, if they're going to use the new masters from the Masterworks, because there's not enough for Volume 2 to be, they don't have the scans for a Volume 2 yet of that omnibus. They would just have to reprint that 2 and 3.
Is anybody collecting these in the Masterworks? I still have like a pile of Volume 1s, and I'm thinking about putting one on my shelf. I'm starting to.
Which cover do you have?
I have both DMs and standards
of
the Masterworks, not the Omnibus.
What? Okay, well, maybe.
Yeah, but
I've got a couple of them. I've got one. I think I've got one and no, I've got 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. I dig them. I mean, it's beautiful artwork in there. They are mapped different than the Omnis, though.
Do you think that eventually, like whenever it gets there, like we'll get like a Blade Masterworks line? It's not like, oh, if you want the Blade stuff, get the Tomb of Dracula stuff, because I know it wouldn't all be in there. But would you agree eventually there'll be like a Blade one? You think?
Oh, Masterworks line?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have like a ton of this. Like
we've had Brother Voodoo, right? Wait, no. Was it called Dr. Voodoo? Or was it called Brother Voodoo? It was before he got his PhD. So
brother on the spine.
Mr. Voodoo.
Mr. Voodoo. Okay. And then, oh yeah, baby. Man Thing. Volume 1. Some good stuff if you haven't read it. Astonishing Tales 12 and 13, Fear 11 through 19, Man Thing 1, Marvel 2 and 1, number 1, Savage Tales 1 and Fear number 10, 304 pages, $75. And of course, you got the green swampy colors for the direct market there. Some wonderful Steve Gerber stuff in there. And I'm a big Gerber fan. Oh, gosh. All right, Peter, let's time ourselves. How long are we going to spend talking about this one here? Extinction Agenda Omnibus. You all made this happen. All you people voting, and thank you all. This is great.
Make sure to ask your retailer for the special near mint condition edition of this book.
Can I get a blurb on this book? I can't even get a blurb on New Warriors.
I just want to thank special thanks Crisis in one omnibus. That's all I'm looking for.
Oh, okay, not this one. Not this one. How about in the Dazzler bus? You can have that one.
Well, I think that one probably is on a boat at this point. No, maybe not, because it's still 6 months out. I feel like it's been announced forever.
I want it in the Nth Man omnibus. Oh my gosh. Collecting Uncanny X-Men 270 to 272, New Mutants 95 and 90 to 97, X-Factor 60 to 62, X-Men Annuals 14 and 15, Spotlight on the Starjammers, baby. Plus material from Fantastic Four 23, New Mutants Annuals 6 and 7, X-Factor Annuals 5 and 6, New Warriors Annual number 1, Marvel Comics Presents 10 through 17. Yes, oh my God. 24 through 32, 41, 43, 48 through 49, Marvel Superheroes 2, 6 through 8, Marvel Holiday Special 1, Marvel Tales 262. 984 pages, $125. It's so much more than just the 2 oversized hardcovers put together, but you are missing the Days of Future Past Wolverine miniseries and the introduction to Genosha, which was 3 issues in Uncanny. This one makes me happy. I dig it. Now, as I mentioned when we went through the Omnis, eventually this stuff will become something, right? This stuff will become Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume, what did I say, 9 or 10? Something like that, Peter? I can't remember.
Let's see, 5, 6, yeah, it would be
8.
8.
No, actually, I think you're right. It might be 8. Well, Inferno's pretty big, though. If you
True.
6 would be.
Yeah, but they're not gonna. It's not really big because it's gonna follow the Masterworks map. It's not gonna. It's not gonna be an event book.
Let's say 8. And I think somebody in the chat when we were doing that said the best thing. We'll worry about that when we get there. I'm just happy this is coming out now. I kind of like that mentality because that's the way I live. But if you think way ahead, then think about it. Like, oh, this will eventually be double dipped, like with a Omnibus Volume 8 or whatever. Yeah. So if you want to wait,
map differently too, because some of this Marvel Comics Presents stuff actually happened earlier. So if they actually collect,
it will be
in sequence.
Yeah,
this will actually be spread a little bit across other Omnis.
Love it. And God,
all right, the new stuff. Did everyone do their homework?
I read the first couple of issues because it's Jonathan Hickman, Valerio Schetti doing the artwork. This collects 8 issues. It just got wrapped up, right? Issue number 8 was the last.
It's always been solicited for 8.
Okay.
People are like, "Oh, it got canceled." No, it was always an 8-issue series. It's up to 5 right now, so it's got a couple more months before it is wrapped.
So happy leap year! I forgot to mention that earlier. Like, we get an extra day to live this year. Woo us! Way to go!
I think they only have 2 issues of this up on Marvel Unlimited right now. I've read the first
Those
one.
are the first 2 that I read. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't. It didn't capture me quite yet, so I'll give the second issue a try. But I wasn't. I love the artwork. Valerio, what's his name? Valerio Schetti. Very, very good artist. Incredible. But I wasn't taken by any of the characters.
I remember when I announced the omnibus, I was like, I'm going to practice saying his last name because I do not want to mess this up, because you could easily mess up that last name. So I played it safe and just said Schetti.
Yes, Schetti. That's.
I would say the concept of this is it's Hickman trying to put something above magic and also like science, but kind of like cosmic super science in the Marvel universe. And then don't just have the in-betweener, don't just have the Eye of Agamotto or whatever, but like actually make structure on both sides in a way, even though this has no thematic link to Sandman, in a way that kind of mirrors like, well, there's endless and there's desire and there's despair and there's destruction. So It's a really cool concept. And I love the idea of like structure, because Marvel magic tends to be a little loosey-goosey. And honestly, so does some of the Marvel cosmic entities at points, because everybody has their own definition of them. But the actual story, it just doesn't super go anywhere. It's just like a fun arc of Doctor Strange that has some other characters in it. It's pretty much Hickman doing a Doctor Strange book that's got a bigger scope. And I think that people wanted to make it out to, this is going to change everything. Like it's a cool Doctor Strange book that has some other characters.
Okay, because that's the way the first couple of issues read. And I thought it was going to be a bigger thing. And I'm like, well, it'll get there, right? Because that's the way he always writes his comics at first. One thing leads into another big thing. So, okay, good to know that it kept paying money just to say Peter is wrong about the DM versions of the Marvel Masterworks. They're way more fun than the basic versions. Love the hair, though. So still a nice compliment.
I don't dislike them. First, I love the Tomb of Dracula one we were looking on. I love the Dazzler ones. It's just funny to me that for all the things we ask Marvel to do, like, hey, Marvel, release a final Daredevil OHC. We all bought them, right? They don't do that, but they are still making these alternate Masterworks covers for the people that originally bought the covers with the picture frames in 1991.
Was it 91? I thought it was 87 for some reason.
Yeah, it was 89, 91. Yeah.
I did per your recommendation, I did read this, and I dug it.
I love it. I think this is like a sleeper hit, and people don't realize. I did find some people who don't like it, but go ahead.
White Widow, Sarah Gailey, Alessandro Miracolo is the artist, collecting White Widow 1 through 4. And Yelena's been one of these characters that I feel like writers don't know what to do with when it comes to her. So I feel like Sarah kind of made her own character in this miniseries. I don't know how you felt about it, but I dug what she did in here.
Yeah, the debate I'm seeing people have on Reddit and things like that is, well, Yelena's always been so cool and so deadly, and this kind of MCUifies her and makes her very glib and youthful and acerbic. I usually don't like that MCUification, but here's the thing. Yelena has been in under 60 issues as a featured character over the past 24 years.
How would you keep that up? Why would you keep that up?
Well, and also she was just kind of like Nat, but
That's
meaner.
Your
Like there was
to say, because I run the website called Crushing Crisis.
I'm sorry, somebody hating us in the chat?
No. I was asking you, why would you keep up with something like that? How many issues she's been in? And that was your segue to be like, because I run a website called Crushing Crisis.
Well, because I was going to make her an exclusive guide. And then when I saw how few issues she was in, I was like, this could just be part of the Black Widow guide. I don't know if she needs her own page to explain 60 issues. But the thing about this is it's distinct. It makes her a character that's not just this random side character that gets pulled in all the time. She's funny. She has a voice. It's about her. She's like out of being a tool of the Russian government or the Red Room or whatever. She wants to just live in America, but she actually does kind of like assassinating people people. So could she live in the suburbs and enjoy suburban life, but also still be an assassin? It kind of has a little bit of a vibe of like Kelly Thompson's Kate Bishop book. I find it very silly and acerbic. I finished the whole thing and I really liked it. I would read more Sarah Gailey, White Widow.
I remember that, Freddie. Listen, Elena was so interesting. I gave away my complete collections that feature her to Omar. And I think I ended up giving them away for one of our giveaways. So thank you for that, Freddie. Thunderbolts. This is interesting. Acceptable losses. Collecting Thunderbolts 132 to 143 and Secret Warriors 7 through 9. And at 376 pages, $44.99. And I say it's interesting because people have been asking, where is that missing omnibus? And it seems like with this trade and the Dark Reign trade and the missing Warren Ellis trade, Marvel just keeps teasing us and they know what people want. So they're releasing it in trade paperback format. It makes people like Curtis really happy, although it doesn't have a modern epic collection label on there. Sorry, Curtis.
Forget it. Not getting it.
It seems like a missed opportunity, honestly, to put out like epic sized books and not have them be.
I'm honestly
What do I
surprised.
know?
Honestly surprised they didn't do that with the Thunderbolts Dark Reign. I thought that was going to be a modern epic. And maybe they thought about it and then changed it.
It could also be that they just wanted some Thunderbolts specific stuff to come out when the movie comes out. Because again, the movie was supposed to come out already.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. And like you want standalone books when a movie comes out that has the character smack on the cover, not modern epic volume, whatever. Yeah.
Not interested in Suicide Squad rip-off Thunderbolts myself. That's what I've always called the Warren Ellis era, but people really like it for some reason. To each their own. Immortal Thor Volume 2. All trials are one. Collecting Immortal Thor 6 through 10. And Roxanne presents Thor, 144 pages, $19.99. I read the first volume.
Solid. It is wild.
Oh my gosh.
So wild.
That guy just knocking it out of the park. Have you read any of this yet, Peter? Any of this?
I'm up to date. Yeah, I think we're up to like issue 7 as of a week ago. And it's totally, he's playing with it's not immortal in the same way as Immortal Hulk, but it's still the same. For Immortal Hulk, he's immortal because he can't die, right? No matter what they do to him, shoot him with a bullet, send him into space, he always comes back, and that's because he has anger, but at the root of anger is fear, right? So that's what Immortal Hulk is about. Think about why Thor is immortal. He's immortal because he's undying, because even if he dies in Ragnarok, he comes back. But what is the true nature of that? Thor is a story. Thor is worshipped. There's a different version of Thor that everybody had in their minds, and now he's been worshipped for so long that he became real, and now he's a person. And that's what Immortal Thor is about. It's about, what about the Thors that other people made up? What about the other gods that people worship? And what happens when people change their mind about what your story even was? And what happens if you change your own mind about what your story was? So that's the arc we're in right now that this covers. It's Thor and Loki kind of telling an old Thor story, but changing it as they go. And like, does that actually change what's real for them in the modern day? And then also some other factors who wish they could retell the story. As you can see by one of the comics that's included is Roxanne Presents Thor. What kind of Thor story might the Roxanne Corporation decide to tell? So it's very, very interesting stuff. Ewing is big brain as always, and the art has been fantastic.
And the payoff,
that sounds excellent.
He's one of these writers that gives you that payoff if you've been reading comics for a while. And I'm not just talking about Thor. I'm talking about Marvel comics in general, that it'll make you go back and go, wait, I know about this character and this particular time. Why is he using it here? It's solid. Then he did the same thing in Immortal Hulk. And he's doing the same thing in Venom, which I'm really digging Venom now. Do you need to have read? I don't remember this. It says, always an instigator saying, important to have read Fractions Thor for Immortal Thor. Make sure you've read it. I don't remember what elements he's using from Fractions Thor.
Yeah, I don't either. I believe you, but I don't have any recollection. I think I blocked that run out, honestly.
Yeah, same. Not good. I like the idea of the fear itself. Daredevil Gang War. Collecting the Gang War, or the Daredevil Gang War miniseries 1 through 4. Erica Schultz. And this is 112 pages, $15.99. Do you remember
this
the Gang War?
Stars Elektra. It's Elektra. It's not, Matt does not appear. It's Elektra as Daredevil. It happens after the first 3 issues of the Saladin Ahmed Daredevil series, where she does pop up, but it doesn't really connect to that. But she does reference like, oh, I guess I'm not going to be over there, so I'll be over here. I think the real story for this is the art is just really awesome. The cover artist is the interior artist. He keeps up that quality on pretty much every page. It is very fun to look at. And Erica Schultz actually, I think, has her voice down. I wish she had a longer run to play with.
Do you remember the original Gang War, Curtis?
Yeah, the infamous Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection Volume 16.
Infamous, that's right.
Infamous.
Yeah, everything old is new, man.
That's right.
So there's another Gang War going around.
Except that one was only like 6 issues, and this one's
going to be a crossover.
30,
it's
30 issues or something.
Yeah. It's
not a non-event. That's what it's been.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these are non-events. And then people get mad when the omnibus is mapped really weird because all the miniseries are together. I Am Iron Man. Collecting I Am Iron Man 1 through 5 and material from Iron Man 25. Murewa Ayodele is the writer and Dotun Akande is the artist.
Has anybody read this? I just read it last night.
Negative. Nope.
Sounds cool, actually. I'm reading the description right now.
So these 2 guys, they did a just like an Iron Man short and something, and it was really well received. And it's basically like it's one of these, what if you handed a comic to 2 huge fans of that character and just said, go nuts. So every one of the issues is them just picking a period in Iron Man's history and writing a one-off story. And they don't make like a ton of narrative sense. They're almost, each one of them is like an allegory, and you can kind of decide to read as much of them into it as you want. One is he's stuck in a time travel loop. One is he's fighting Mojo. One is that there's a radioactive asteroid and he has to like find it before it infects a place. One of them is set in the Matt Fraction period where he's making copies of his brain. But they're all just these individual issues that I don't know. They were really comics that like every time I finished one, I don't know if I liked it, but it made me feel something, which is really unusual. I think Ayodele and Akande really did something cool and special, but it's not like an arc of Iron Man with like an anthology, cool, satisfying stories with things blow up. It's almost like a storybook take on Iron Man. It's so hard to describe, but it was really interesting. Really, really interesting.
Very intriguing. Very intriguing.
I know Marvel in the past didn't want fans to work on characters they loved. Hope that's over. I think that was due a lot to the fact that a lot of writers, like I remember Ron Mars talking about this, talking about how big of a fan of Walter Simonson's Thor he was, but making the mistake of when he wrote Thor, writing it like Walter Simonson would have written Thor, and it kind of backfired on him badly. And I think during that time in the 90s is when the editorials, like, they kind of stopped hiring your fans of comics and started hiring new blood. So they started like, what was the most famous one that I can think of is the Paul Jenkins Inhumans run. So like Paul Jenkins had never read an issue of Inhumans. He had no idea who these characters were, but Marvel kind of gave him this task. So he just kind of did his own thing and it worked. Like a lot of people love that Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee. I guess it's a maxi series, right? It was 12 issues. Demon Wars trade paperback. This Peach Momoko with Zach Davidson. And get your fix before she takes over before she starts Ultimate X-Men. Well, no, this won't be out until then because that Ultimate X-Men comes out in March. Forget everything I just said. Collecting all those little miniseries.
This entire like alternate universe she's made has been so interesting and unique. I haven't really touched Demon Wars yet, but all of Demon Days, like that entire world state is just so unique and interesting. So I'm excited to pick this one up too.
I like this world. I like trying to figure out who these characters are supposed to be because Peach just makes them so obscure that they're nothing like their 616 counterparts.
Yeah. It's really interesting, though, because I've just been picking it up in trade because I like just reading it at once since they're quarterly drops? They're really far apart.
Whenever she's finished. She's a beast, though, man. She can I have no idea how much she draws on a daily basis. I don't think she does anything. I think she takes, like, a lot of the mangaka, you hear stories about their schedules and how ruthless and insane their schedules are. I saw Rumiko Takahashi shared her schedule of how much time she devotes to art, and it's 7 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week that she's drawing. She skips dinner. Sometimes dinner is only 30 minutes. And this is Rumiko Takahashi, who has created, Inuyasha and Ranma, and just that's crazy. So I can't imagine like what somebody new is like their task is like.
Yeah,
well, that's pretty much your streaming schedule, isn't it, Omar?
Yes. But I have not created anything like Inuyasha or Ranma or Lum or Maison Koku. Maybe one day. Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara, Steve Orlando. Not the first time he's written the character, but this is the new series.
Yeah, this kind of follows up on the previous Orlando Spider-Man. Each issue is a one-shot, and it's taking a lot of Marvel horror concepts and reimagining them for 2099. In the case of zombies, it's not the Marvel zombies that we know and love. It's just, if you love them, it's just zombies, but in 2099. In the case of the second issue, which is Dracula, it is literally the Marvel Dracula and exploring who he would be and why he would still exist in 2099. It's very explainy. Like I love Marvel Dracula, so I was so hyped. But it's a very like, let me give you exposition about where I have been for the last 79 years, so you understand why I'm here. Which for some people is really interesting. Like, how did these characters continue to evolve into 2099? But it's not like the fun, kooky horror in the future book I was maybe looking for.
Would you say
that seems to follow?
Go ahead, Curtis.
That would then follow suit with a lot of the old Dracula stuff then as well, like
yes,
Vampire Tales, like that anthology series of tracking Dracula through history. Kind of feels like the same vibe.
Yeah, you honestly should check out issue 2 when it hits Marvel Unlimited. I think actually thinking about it, you would probably really dig it.
Is it like Scarlet Witch, Steve Orlando, or is it like Marauder, Steve Orlando?
More like that.
Okay. Say no more. Say no more. Moon Knight or Vengeance of Moon Knight Volume 1. Oh, Alessandro Capuccio is also going over there. I didn't know that. Okay. With Jed MacKay, covered by David Finch. And this is collecting the first 4 issues of Vengeance of Moon Knight, which is the direct follow-up to Jed MacKay's Moon Knight, which is excellent if you haven't read it. Jess, have you kept up with this? I know you loved Black Cat, but did you keep up with MacKay's Moon Knight?
I read the first 3 trades and loved it.
Awesome.
Loved
You only got
3.
I think Volume 4.
I have that. Haven't read it. I also loved his Doctor Strange so far, but this Moon Knight, the first 3 anyway, were solid, really well written and interesting story overall, with the extra edition of a certain somebody. I can't tell if it's in there. Yeah, the extra Fist of Khonshu that shows up.
So cool.
What's it? Hunter's Moon?
Hunter's Moon, yeah.
Yeah, character's awesome.
That character was so...
What's interesting is I had read in the Moon Knight, Mark Spector Moon Knight Omnibus Volume 2. There's a introduction that they kept by Doug Mensch. And Doug Mensch's introduction is amazing. It's an introduction to his 98 series when he came back to the character. But he's talking about pretty much how nobody understands the character of Moon Knight. It's like we've had all these people write the Moon Knight in the 90s. No one understands his character and then he lays down like this is the way that Moon Knight is supposed to be written. And I find that interesting because I don't think anybody writes Moon Knight like Doug Mensch. Like Jed MacKay's Moon Knight is so different, and I love it though. I think Doug is just like, this is my baby. This is the way he should be written.
There is definitely an element of that grumpy old man coming from him, which he does a lot. But yeah, his Moon Knight disappeared very quickly after he stopped writing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And he tried to bring him back in that late 90s era, and then that just didn't do well until Charlie Huston relaunched the book with David Finch. And Moon Knight's been around ever since. I'm going to get the super chat and then we'll keep going. Thank you, Brian, for the super chat. For better or worse, I appreciate the 90s comic industry was so focused on new everything compared to the post-2000s era where everything is focused on either nostalgia or maintaining core IPs for the sake of synergy. I feel like that does come from above, though, like when they have to do things like that, right? We have a Deadpool and Wolverine book that is coming out for that corporate synergy that they need because of the Deadpool movie.
I think a lot of the a lot of their decision making is also to keep trademarks in use, because you have to like keep publishing someone every 7 or 8 years or something like that in order to keep a trademark active, and so they have so many characters now, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of characters that they just got to keep on cycling through every so often. And so it's like, man, all of our 2099 characters are coming. We need to keep them in the trademarks in use. So we got to do another 2099 event.
Good. That means my new Warriors will be back in 3 more years' time.
Yeah, I will say on this just briefly. This picks up directly from the final issue of the previous series. You could jump on here. I don't know if I would call it a good jumping on point. I think just go back to the beginning of the Jed MacKay run.
Yeah, I would agree because they set up a lot of new concepts, like we were talking with the Fists of Khonshu plural, that you're gonna want to understand.
Okay. Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise by Trad Moore, collecting all of Fall Sunrise 1 through 4. Has anybody read this? I read it in Treasury Edition, and I know most of you probably like, I assume most of you like Trad Moore's art. It's trippy, it's crazy, it's awesome, it's violent. I loved it. It was so weird, but it's my kind of weird.
Well, that's good.
I don't know if you
I really like
stuff,
Silver Surfer Black. I'm plan on reading this one for sure.
Okay, it's
this
trippier
is even a deeper level of psychedelia than Silver Surfer Black.
Awesome.
Like,
that's great.
I can see people walking out of this going, well, that guy's doing too many drugs. And I can see people reading this going, man, that brought back a lot of memories. For me, I enjoyed it. It's so surreal, so not traditional comic booky, and I kind of like that from time to time. And for a character like Doctor Strange, it makes sense. So I dig it. Jess, did you read this?
Not this one. I did read Silver Surfer Black, but I haven't read this one yet. Max always recommends it to me. But Max recommends some lifestyle things to me that I think I'm too old for at this point. So
lifestyle things,
drugs and stuff.
I thought you meant like a subscription to Men's Health magazine. Okay, got
it. No, I think he was saying it was actually just supposed to be a joke. I was just kidding. I haven't read this yet, but he says it's more fun on drugs. So whatever.
My wife is saying Silver Surfer Black is fire. Look at my wife using emojis. Look at you. Gotta go show your students. All right, Peter, you've read it. What did you think? Too trippy for you, or just the right amount?
Doctor Strange as the main character in The Birth of Jesus, told as Lord of the Rings, animated as the Yellow Submarine.
Wow,
okay. I can see that this would be better on drugs. Yeah,
I don't know if I would describe it like that.
It's one of those books where you can either like really read every word balloon and be like, okay, I got it. I know how this makes sense. I'm following it. Or it's one of those books where you could just turn the page and go, ooh. And like, or you could do both. I did a little bit of each in my read. I think Treasury is the way to go. It's not like a reading book. It's like falling into the page and getting lost. Yeah.
Now, if you like your superhero and Doctor Strange a little more traditional, here's Doctor Strange by Mark Waid, Volume 2. Even though in this volume, it gets a little bit crazy with, like, I think this is the volume with Galactus. Yes. Doctor Strange, Herald of Galactus, collecting issues 12 through 20 of the long out-of-print trade paperbacks, coming back in a thickie. Doctor Strange, Annual Number 1, and Doctor Strange 1 through 6. Is that the Surgeon Supreme? Or is that right before Surgeon Supreme?
If it's Dr. Dr., it's Surgeon. Yeah, that's the Surgeon.
And that's it there. 384 pages, $44.99. I really like this run, and I
love this one.
they would
That's fun.
give it an omnibus treatment. But who knows? Maybe one day. For now, Curtis and his Epicureans can be happy with 2 fat trade paperbacks.
Epic hoodlums.
What is that? Who said that? Was that Curtis?
Yeah.
He would never
Nope.
call. He would never refer to himself as a hoodlum. Mace Windu, the Twilight Run, collecting Star Wars Mace Windu 1 through 4, material from Star Wars Revelations 1. 112 pages, $15.99. Curtis, I think you've read the Marvel epics, like the Legends epics, right?
I'm going through them. I haven't read all of them. No, not yet.
Okay. Have you read the is it the Empire? It's volume 1 of the Empire. It's pretty much like taking place right before episode 1. It has all these little backup stories with Mace Windu and how he got his purple lightsaber.
I've read some of those. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, man, I really dig those. So I'm curious, like, how good this one is. This is by Mark.
So there's only one issue out so far. Keep in mind the interior art is Giorgenti, so it's doesn't look like that cover. It's kind of a cool thing. It's like pre-Clone Wars. Mace Windu just has to like do the specific mission. Somebody's kind of put out a call that they need the help of a Jedi, but they're mixed up in some bad stuff. So it's a lot of Mace Windu kind of on his own, having adventures, kind of like the thing that Obi-Wan does in the second movie when he's like investigating where all the droids came from, but giving Mace Windu that kind of an adventure. I don't know that Genti's art is the best match for Mace Windu, but it was fun first issue.
I actually like Genti. He did the Buffy the Vampire Slayer series, and I thought he had a good mix of capturing somebody's likeness, because it is hard to capture someone's likeness, right? I'm not saying it's perfect, but I thought he did a good job of mixing that with comic book art. And he also did the artwork in was it Weapon X? He did Weapon X, didn't he?
He did the Leo Williams series during Age of X-Men. Maybe I forget what it was called. Yeah, I feel like he's got that kind of Jim Chung. Everybody's got like a baby face thing. That Yamba Lazusa sometimes is like that too, which is not terrible. But sometimes for Samuel L. Jackson, where like I have that face like etched in my brain, I'm like, he kind of looks like he has a tiny head, but he handles all the Star Wars stuff really well. He does a really great Yoda.
And I like Chris Cross. Always been a big fan of his since the days of the Captain Marvel by Peter David. I think he draws the best Marlowe. Oh my goodness. And here's a thickie, not modern epic, not complete collection, but this is Shang-Chi, in case you missed any of the Jean Luen Yang miniseries, which have been really good. Collecting Shang-Chi 1 through 5, and then the 2021 1 through 12, the miniseries Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings 1 through 6, and the Master of the New Rings, and the material from Marvel Voices Identity. So this is everything that he worked on with that beautiful cover by Jim Chung, 560 pages, $54.99. We've had epics that are $54.99, Curtis, right? Was it one of them? Because we were trying to figure out what made it go up, what page count.
It's big though. 560 pages is really thick for a Marvel trade.
This is bigger than the Donny Cates Hulk Omnibus.
That's
yes, it is. Yeah, we're almost getting to that compendium level there.
It's really fun. If people read this run, I know in the chat, Freddie's saying he was a big fan.
He got me to buy the trade, so you're welcome for this. Yeah.
Dude, I love this run. I thought it was good. You know,
I really like the establishing
Mensch stuff, but then this is just reinventing the character for modern era.
Well, and it's like bringing him a little closer to the movie version without just MCUing him. It's not like all of a sudden Aquafina is in the comic book, but it like gives us a little bit of that mythology and some of that cool landscape and creatures and stuff from the movie, while not making him Shang-Chi. And I appreciated that. I think those first 6 issues are like really, really good. And then it's like fine after that. But it's kind of almost like when Fraction and Brubaker did the multiple deadly weapons and Iron Fist, and kind of like gave Iron Fist more of his own continuity and extended cast. This is a really similar run to that, but I'm not saying it's the same quality as Immortal Iron Fist. It's just that kind of a run.
I really liked it. I like that Dyke Run And
yes, I really like Tegron's art.
And we've talked and have gone on about Marcos Toe. So I mean, the art is solid in all of this. Yeah, Jess, time to just buy this one. It's all in one, right? That
I already have the trade.
Losing any of your trades, and that way you don't have to put your trades in reading orders. You're gonna be like, oh, I don't know how to read this. Which one goes first? It's already done for you.
Reading orders.
Another thickie, Eternals by Kieran Gillen.
Now this I want to get.
So collecting Eternals, not an omnibus. I know I wanted one too. But who knows? Maybe one day. Eternals 1 through 12. Eternals Thanos Rises. Thanos for all the people in the back. Eternals Celestia. Never forget. Just like Magneto. Eternals the Heretic. Which, by the way, if you ever interview like someone like, who was it? Chris Claremont. And you've gotten to interview J.M. DeMatteis, right, Curtis? Yeah. They still say Magneto. They don't care about the movies.
I think Roy Thomas does too.
Does it? Yeah, I love it, man. Stay old school. So, not in here is, of course, the events of the Avengers and X-Men and Eternals book, the Axe books, but you do have the setup for all of it and all the little one-shots. This is the only Eternals book that I actually recommend to people.
This sets up Axe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it continues directly into Judgment Day.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the setup for all of Judgment Day. Let me get the super chat really quick. I'm spending money to let you all know that these series are the greatest of all time, or goated. And if you're not reading it, you're being silly. You're talking about the Shang-Chi?
Yeah, I think that's what
he means both, knowing Felix, because Felix loves this Eternals series.
Or Eternals? Okay. Well, I think both of them are great. Like, this is and I'm going to say something again, like, to remind people, Neil Gaiman has written the Eternals, and I would still not recommend that one. I actually really like this book.
Well, and the art just makes it, like, over the top easy on the eyes. Like, this is 10 out of 10 art throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, it's Azad Rivage on artwork for the most part. Then the one-shots are done by other people, yeah. Absolutely ridiculous not to make this into an omnibus. Like, how are you going to do that to Azad Rivage? Oh, because they know eventually when they release an omnibus, people will still buy it. Like, Jess will get the single trades. He'll get the thickie. And then I'll announce the omnibus, and he'll be like, what do I do? And I'm going to tell him what to do. I'm going to tell him to buy the omnibus because it's in bigger format and in proper reading order.
What else
sounds true?
What would an omnibus include that's missing from the trade?
Axe.
Nothing.
Axe. Yeah. Because we've seen that before, Peter. Remember in like Thor by Jason Aaron Omnibus Volume 2, Donny Cates Ben Omnibus has the King in Black. So I could see them if they decided to do this later as an omnibus, they could completely add Axe and the one-shots of Axe that were written by Gillen.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, Gillen wrote literally half of Axe. I think it's like 42 issues of Axe, and he wrote 21 issues. So you could absolutely just do a Gillen omnibus that had these 15 issues and those 21 issues. And honestly, the Eternals don't pop up that much outside the Gillen stuff. So yeah, it could happen. It's just, I think this leads so perfectly into Axe as it is that it's kind of like, couldn't they give us an OHC so that everybody who bought all of Judgment Day? But this is, I don't like the Eternals. I don't care about the Eternals. And this was probably my book of the year that year. I breathlessly awaited every issue. I agree with everything everyone is saying about it.
And you like the Judgment Day event, and you generally don't like events, right?
Yeah, but I'm an easy mark for Gillen. Gillen's brain is just a place that always makes sense to me on Marvel work, at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love for that to be in an oversized format. Oddfell, she said it as that Rivage's artwork in oversized. It would be so good.
Oh god, it's so stunning.
What if Dark? So I don't know what any of this is. They're doing. Oh, wait a minute! I recognize these people though. Walter Simonson and Jerry Conway, Marv Wolfman, Larry Hama, Stephanie Phillips, Jody Hauser, Erica Schultz. My gosh, teaming up with Jethro Morales, Edgar Zalazar, Scott Eaton, Ramon Bucks, covered by Greg Land. Okay, so this is What If, Loki, Dark Spider-Gwen, Dark Venom, Dark Moon Knight, Dark Carnage, Dark Tomb of Dracula. 200 pages, $29.99. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say a lot of these are like, do you remember when DC did their Dark Universe where they did like, what happens if like Judas Contract went terribly wrong? A lot of these have that same tone where they take a story that you know and then they kind of make it more horror centric.
Oh, like the Dark Crisis stuff then.
Kind of, yeah. So I've only read the Spider-Gwen one and the Moon Knight one, but they take pretty much classic stories and then make them evil. So
that's what I liked about the original What Ifs, or the 90s What Ifs. It was like, no matter what story you were reading, it was like, what if Peter Parker joined the Fantastic Four? No matter what, by the end, like the entire world is burning because of that one little mistake that they made. Somebody spilled the water in the kitchen or something. I love that. So if they're going back to something like that, I'm in.
The Tomb of Dracula the TV show was like that.
Amazing.
Yeah, same, Curtis. Missed opportunity there, but whatever. What if Dark, the motto of early 2000s comic adaptations?
Yeah, well, the What If they did a couple years back that was if Peter kept the symbiote suit was like...
Oh, the Zdarsky book?
Yeah.
Solid.
That was
Spider
so
Shadow.
good.
Yeah, my wife loves that book so much. She read it in the trade paperback and the omnibus, and then she said, I'm going to do a review of it because I really want people to go and check out this book. It's so good.
It was so good.
X-Men. Here's a thickie that I did not see coming. Reign of X by Jonathan Hickman. So collecting X-Men 1 through 9, giant size X-Men Jean Grey and Emma Frost, giant size X-Men Nightcrawler, 336 pages, $39.99. Not a modern epic, not a complete collection, just a volume 1.
But that'll go really nicely with all of the Hickman trade paperbacks they've got, because like there's an X of Swords trade, there's a House and Powers of X trade. This will go right with that stuff, right? Look pretty good on the shelf with it.
It doesn't quite marry up to X of Swords, though.
Yeah, and the design, I don't know if it's Tom Mueller still working on it kind of looks like patterns that he might have done. Reign of X.
It's like a little bit of this book, like 2/3 of this.
Here, I'm going to highlight you, Omni Dog.
In this are X-Men 1 through 12 and 16 through 21, giant size X-Men, Jean Grey and Emma Frost, and Nightcrawler. Then this also has Magneto, Phantom X, and Storm. So this is like the book you just showed is like 2/3 of this omnibus, as Johnny says, omnibus.
He says it like that? Okay.
Omnibus.
Well, it's interesting that they're calling it Reign of X. Sorry, let me...
Yeah, because it's way before the actual Reign of X trades that came out. The Reign of X, there were like 10 of them.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to blow a gasket. Please release Trials of X 13. I'm sorry, Felix.
Yeah,
that ship unfortunately sailed.
Reign didn't start till after
Hellfire
Gala, but this is before Hellfire Gala, I think.
Yeah, they're calling it Reign of X.
This was Dawn of X.
So
it should get the name right.
Yeah,
Dawn of X, and
it should be called Dawn of X. Yeah,
that's why reading orders are important. Or titling
plug.
Well, you could come in and say, "Hey, I have reading orders too, and mine are superior because I had everything," which he does, and that is Crushing Crisis. Yeah, interesting name. I don't know why they decided to go with Reign of X instead of Dawn of X, but yeah.
It just goes to show this is going to get more and more confusing as Marvel continues to recollect it. Like, it's going to be the rare thing that made more sense as it was coming out. Usually things are like all over the place as they come out. Gang War, who knows what order it's in or whatever. And then the collections give it structure. Because Hickman was actually there as it was coming out, this is going to be one of those rare runs that actually made sense as it was coming out as you kept up to it. And now that it's going to hit collections, it's going to stop making sense. They're going to have the wrong names. They're not going to line up with each other. It's just going to be a mess until we finally get our all-in-one omnibuses for like the 10th anniversary in 2029.
This is a big book right here. I don't mean just in size. because if you see who's in the front cover,
Yeah.
How are they doing that?
right? How are they going to put the skull on Punisher? I don't get it. Were we all talking about the same thing? No, I'm talking about Conan. What? All right.
Well
Savage
done.
Avengers 1 through 12, Annual 1, Savage Avengers 0, Uncanny X-Men. I can't believe they're reprinting that from, well, I guess because of what's his name that shows up through here, and he is the villain. Uncanny X-Men 190 to 191, and material from Free Comic Book Day 2019 Avengers Savage Avengers. It's huge that they are putting this not as a reprint, but as a new collection featuring the character of Conan. So
Conan is a licensed. Conan is a public domain character, so they can put Conan in here, but they can't call the trade paperback Conan the Barbarian because that's a trademarked title.
So why not just reprint all the Omnis and call it the Barbarian?
Because that content is owned by the estate.
No, okay. So you're talking about the classic content. So this content,
classic content is owned.
You can make new content because he's public. You can make new content with him, and then Marvel can own that. It's just the old content they don't have the rights to.
Oh,
right?
this is so confusing because
does
that mean that they can make new comics with Conan still in it as a character in the Savage Avengers?
And they can, and I'm sure they can. And there are new Conan ones coming out. What's the company that's doing the Cimmerian, or whatever?
That is a Blaze Publishing is putting that book out.
They don't have a Conan license, but they're using the public domain character, but they're not calling it Conan the Barbarian.
This is really confusing. Because if that's true, then what's stopping them from continuing using Conan as one of the Savage Avengers?
Nothing.
Or am I tripping here? Or am I just like, do you see what I mean? Like, why didn't the series continue? Conan left at the end of Savage Avengers because the rights were done, and he's like, oh, and it was kind of like shoehorned in. Looks like I'm going back home. Kind of like what's his name in this Simpsons?
Uchi.
Yes.
One of my favorites, possibly my all-time favorite Simpsons reference.
Yeah. That's
okay. Hold on. Someone in the comments says that he becomes public domain in 2028.
Conan
maybe,
isn't yet public domain. Okay.
Isn't yet. Okay. Well, then I don't know what's going on with the other with Blaze's thing. Why they are not calling it Conan?
The rights are different in Europe.
Yeah, that is being published in Europe. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because I think it's like only 75 years in Europe, and it's 95 years in North America or something like that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I just find that really interesting that it's not a reprint; it is a brand new collection and featuring him on the cover, and even using it in the text to describe it and in their midst Conan the Barbarian.
The other thing is that they might just have a one-time. They might have just made a new deal with the estate to publish this book.
I will say this book is really good. I love it.
It's fun. It's not an Avengers book. This is totally a Conan book.
It's more like a Thunderbolts book.
They're team ups, right? But it's basically the story of Conan surviving in modern day and trying to get back to his time, and then everybody is just a guest star. Like, you'll see Wolverine in here getting drunk with Conan. You'll see Deadpool going out with Conan. Venom shows up, but it focuses on Conan. Conan is the central figure of this collection. And also because the ties to Cool and Goth, who they've always been able to reprint because Cool and Goth
was the Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anything, this is kind of a love letter to those two Claremont X-Men issues, 190 and 191, which Conan himself did not appear in, but it was all about Cool and Goth in the modern day. And this is Marvel for the first time ever saying, ooh, what if we actually could have Cool and Goth and Conan face off in modern day Marvel using modern day characters. Those Uncanny X-Men issues, that would have been an event in modern comics. Like it has everybody. It has the Avengers, it is Spider-Man. It's huge, right? And so this is Duggan, who is a avowed Claremont fan, especially of that period of Claremont, basically getting to play in that 2-issue world for a nearly 30-issue run and saying, well, what if instead of the X-Men dealing with Kulan Goth in the modern day, it's Conan? It looks great. I mean, Zurcher's art in this, sometimes just as this was the kind of book that I would like bring the book into my kid's room and be like, just look at Doctor Strange in this panel. And she'd be like, whoa, you know, it's just really cool, fun comics.
Conan has been public domain in the UK and Sweden since 2006. The reason I asked you earlier, Curtis, is I didn't know if it was like I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine type of case between publishers. Quid pro quo, like the idea of like Titan publishing these Marvel era omnis. Maybe Marvel's like, yes, you can use our logo, you can use our covers, but we get to reprint things like Savage Avengers because it's modern.
It could be. Who knows? I think that once the book comes out, we can look inside the copyright and see if there's any.
I can't wait till the book comes out and Conan's all blacked out. Like they have to black out the word Conan,
blurred out like a witness.
Like IDW did that with with the Transformers.
Mm-hmm.
It
was a Spider-Man.
I'm so intrigued to see if this means they'll be reissuing trades for the other 2019 Conan titles, because there was like 4 Conan adjacent titles, including this one that came out that year.
Oh, they were excellent. There was the Jason Aaron run, the Jim Sub run. If you didn't read the Jim Sub one, that one's the best one out of the modern Conan stuff. It's so good.
But there was also Conan, I think, what you also mean is there were other Conan 6160 team-up books.
Yeah.
There's one with like Moon Knight in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, there's one with Moon Knight. They did 2 spin-offs of just side characters in general. They had Valeria and Billette had their own books. Like something in 2019 like meshed, and they did a lot with Conan. So it'll be interesting to see. The Vegas one was great though.
What was that called? Wait, I'm not done yet. Hang on, please. One second. What was that?
You gotta listen next time.
I did, but it was Conan. He goes with Wolverine. Whatever. They're drunk in Vegas. What's it called?
I think was that Serpent War?
Yeah,
no.
Serpent War.
Yes.
Okay.
Serpent War was the new one. Yeah, that was the big crossover.
But it's Moon Knight in with all fantasy characters. It's really great.
Moon Knight. Okay. Serpent.
They'll rename him Corbin. They can just reverse his name. And I actually like Nanook. How has that not happened? Nanook of the North. They'll work. I love that idea. Marvel Age Treasury Edition. Your latest Treasury Edition is Marvel Age. Book I've not read. So this is Marvel Age 1000, an Amazing Fantasy 1000 from 2022, 176 pages, $34.99.
I think the bigger story here is the Amazing Fantasy 1000. I guess it's just maybe a little bit more sellable selling Marvel Age. Amazing Fantasy 1000 was a really good jam issue of different Spider-Man short stories that were, some of them were just spectacular, really emotional. It ends with Neil Gaiman doing like an auto-bio what Spider-Man has meant to him story. But I usually really dislike those kinds of issues, and I just found myself crying over my computer a couple days ago while I read it. The Marvel Age is kind of just a bunch of random stories by creators. It doesn't really have that, like, it has the pedigree. They're all huge creators. They're really good. Jason Aaron, Pepe Lara's story in there that has really good colors, and I forget who the colorist is, that's got Jane Foster in it. But the Amazing Fantasy book is really, really cool.
Well, thank you for that info, because I knew about the Amazing Fantasy, because that was a big celebration book. And then I didn't know about Marvel Age. So very cool.
In the editor note at the back of Marvel Age, the editor's even like, yeah, we didn't really have a good reason to make this, but it just seemed like a good idea. It's like they just wanted to, it's like when the party's over and you're like, we're going to go to Omar's house. And like everybody goes, it's just as that. They just wanted to do another one, you know?
Everybody comes here for the after party. That is true.
Yeah.
Whoa, Dracula. Roy Thomas from 2010. Do you remember this series, Curtis? Dick Giordano doing the pencils. So
this is
Dracula.
yeah. This was they had begun serializing their adaptation of the book way back when, and it got canceled. And so then many years later, they finished it and released it as a new 4-issue miniseries, and that's what this is.
Yes.
Thank you for that information. I can't believe I haven't dipped out of this video to go and order some G.I. Joes. Deadpool and Cable. my will is really strong. Deadpool and Cable Modern Era Epic Collection. All right, Curtis. You've been waiting. This is your moment to shine.
Yeah. This is the big.
I was going to let Johnny tell you about these epics.
So he's wearing the Dying Breed shirt. I'm not wearing the Marvel Epic.
All right. Just kidding, Curtis. What have we got here?
Deadpool and Cable. This is the very first volume of the new Deadpool ongoing series that happened back in 2004. This is collecting Cable and Deadpool 1 to 18. Cable got top billing in the title, but they're giving Deadpool top billing here because it's actually more of a Deadpool book than a Cable book. In fact, Cable gets written out of the story at some point. This is in the legacy numbering, this is counted as a Deadpool book.
It's my favorite Deadpool series. I absolutely love this. If you haven't read it, oh my gosh, it's so good. And it's got a good balance of Cable and Deadpool. And the artwork in there, you have Mark Brooks doing the early issues, and then you have Patrick Searcher come in. Eventually, so was it Bob?
Patch? He goes by Patch Searcher?
Yeah, Patch Searcher. He's the one that does those issues after Mark Brooks, because Mark Brooks unfortunately could not keep up a monthly schedule. There's a lot of like early Udon coloring in here too. If you remember,
when they have kind of a similar style.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta love that Rob Liefeld cover.
And my wife also approves. So good. Peter, what did you think of this? Did you hate it? Break my heart, Peter.
I mean, it's fine. I think it's there was two characters that were really off in their own directions, doing very different things from each other, and really kind of like got a little bit it's hard to say, but they just went so far from their original concept and being tied into each other into the X-Line. Cable series, really goes off the deep end at the end of the 90s. And so this was kind of, to me, like a redefinition of, and like reminding people of why they were cool. And I think it really is what made them as cool as they were, both for the rest of the 2000s. This, by the way, is the exact same map as the first complete collection. It's one of those.
Oh yeah. Curtis and I went over that.
Yeah.
Hey, so I got the Omni right here, and I'm looking at the contents, and it sounds like there's complete collections. How many epics is this going to be? Three? Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Same mapping as the completes. Cool.
And what else do we have here? Curtis, what is this? Kill or Be Killed?
Incredible Hulk Epic Collection Volume 9, and this is the Roger Stern era with, again, Sal Buscema, who did an incredibly long run on Incredible Hulk. What is this one collecting? 227 to 244, Annual 7 to 9, Captain America 230, and Marvel Calendar 1979, and material from Marvel Treasury 20 and 24. 520 pages. This is a big, fat one.
At last, the book I'll be buying. Congratulations.
He's waited so long for this book. It's 9 consecutive volumes of Hulk in a row, which is pretty cool.
And not done with Hulk yet, because his cousin's getting some love. She-Hulk Epic Collection To Die and Live in L.A.
Yeah, Volume 6. This will be the last volume of the classic era She-Hulks.
I've always loved that cover.
Great cover.
Nice joke.
Also, that's one of the
few this stuff has never been collected before.
Correct. Some of it has.
Sensational She-Hulk 51 to 60 plus a 4-issue Doc Samson limited series crossover, or actually not a crossover, but She-Hulk takes over the title for Incredible Hulk 441 and 442, and then Thing and She-Hulk: The Long Night, which is actually from what year is that? I have that here, 2002. So this book goes up to 2002.
Because she didn't have an ongoing series. Yeah, those issues of Incredible Hulk. That's the one with the Pulp Fiction cover, right? Where she's sitting on the bed. Yeah. Angel Medina, I think, did that artwork, if I'm not mistaken. And then Marvel Comics presents. Yeah, the stuff that has never been collected. I don't think that Doc Samson series has been collected from 1996. It's weird. Like, you're seeing all these collections for the first times. Like, there was an Abomination collection in the Peter David Omnibus Volume 5 that has never been collected.
Hey, Curtis, is this one of the only epics with word bubbles on the cover? I was going to ask that. I feel like that's not a very common thing. They usually take it off.
Right, they usually do. There are like 3 now, I think, that have Marvel 2-in-1 Volume 2.
Okay.
It's not the first one. And this one in particular is like the joke doesn't work if you don't have the
first issue. Right, yeah. Interesting.
It's interesting that Brian Hitch story was an old inventory story from the 90s they pulled out of a drawer and published in 2000. Thank you for that information, Nick. Star Wars Modern Epic Skywalker Strikes. There you go, Curtis. Your moment to shine.
We were wondering how now that they finished all of the Legends, or almost have finished all of the Legends in Epics. Now we're moving on to the modern stuff, the Marvel produced stuff. So this is Star Wars 1-14 plus #1 Director's Cut, and Star Wars Vader Down and Darth Vader 13-15, which is a part of the Vader Down crossover.
That's an awesome crossover.
Yeah.
Awesome crossover if you haven't read it.
Yeah, so this is the first of the Star Wars ones. There's also going to be Star Wars Kanan and Star Wars Darth Vader coming out next year as well.
Kanan should only be 1 volume. Yeah. If you haven't had a chance to read this, some good stuff. It takes place right after episode 4. So, and it crosses over with the Darth Vader series, the one that Gillen was writing. Were you a fan of this, Peter, or you like, no Star Wars for me? This is ridiculous.
No, I actually really follow all of Marvel Star Wars, and I like that. I really like the tack that they take of, like, there is so much room in between the movies to kind of develop, and I'm actually really addicted to the current stuff that comes between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Dude, when Vader uses the Force on all those ships, such a badass moment. Oh my gosh. What about you, Jess? Did you read this series? Were you into the Marvel modern stuff?
Yeah, I read, let's see, Star Wars. Let me look here real quick.
The movie is episode 4. Can y'all remind me? It was just called Star Wars. It was just called Star Wars.
That's the original #1. I read Darth Vader by Gillen and loved it, and I read Star Wars by Jason Aaron and loved it. So, and I read Darth Vader by Charles Soule and loved it. So, but that doesn't have anything to do with this. But I loved the introduction of Dr. Aphra and the murder droids and everything else. And yeah, Peter's right. And there's a lot of room to explore what happened. And this is where they take the Emperor's not pleased with Darth Vader, and there are repercussions to having the
Death Star.
Death Star. Thank you. Destroyed. Spoiler alert: the Death Star gets destroyed. And I think it's a great concept and really well done. All the interesting things get introduced here. It's really good. Oh, and Warren Weaver, that just solidifies the fact that this is awesome because you don't dig it. Holy crap. What is wrong with you?
He likes Dazzler.
What? Yeah. What?
What's really interesting about this, and Curtis can let you all know a little bit more info about this. This is really cool because at least Jason Aaron had the it was on his side that he knew where these movies were going, right? Like, these movies were already out. So whenever he was writing stories that took place in between episodes 4 and 5, he knew what happened in episode 5. He knew what was going to happen in 6, 7, and 8. Was this out in 8? Anyway, that doesn't matter. But back when these comics were originally coming out, the original Marvel years, the writers had no idea what was going to be in the next movie. As a matter of fact, like Lucas, or like it's funny what they were able to use. Like sometimes, I remember it was either a story by Archie Goodwin or maybe it was Louise Simonson. One of them was told, yes, you can't do that with this character because we have something very similar happening in Empire, so you're gonna have to change your story. So at least they had, you know, the movies to work off. Like, okay, obviously I know where this is gonna go. They can't kill any major characters because you know they're gonna appear in episode 5, but there's still a lot of fun because characters are introduced, kind of like what Jess said, like Dr. Aphra, and their characters introduced in this. No Jackson, though. Long live the original Bucky O'Hare.
And Darth
Not
Vader
in this book, at least.
Darth
No,
Vader
no.
was having to prove himself again to the Emperor, which I thought it was interesting how they handled it, how he wrote it.
Good use
Honestly,
of
I usually
Boba Fett
just-
too.
What's that?
I said good use of Boba Fett in that first Star Wars series too, where Vader's using him to track. I don't know if that's spoilers, but Vader's using Boba Fett to track somebody to find out their name and discover his connection to him. And
Yeah, that first story arc is so awesome because keep in mind, this is right
so
after the
good.
first movie, and all he knows is the names. He knows that a pilot destroyed the Death Star,
Right.
and that's what he's going
Mhm.
after.
dude, and doesn't he like? Doesn't he
He's
get
like,
mad with
"Why'd
the
you
Force?"
say that name, Martha?" No, wait, wrong movie.
Whoops.
Martha Vader.
Star Wars Legends, the Thrawn trilogy, all in one. So these are being collected, or they've been collected in Epics. They've been collected, of course, by Dark Horse Comics, and they're being collected in omnibus format. And now they're coming out in a Thrawn trilogy, which is it's pretty much this. This is the Dark Empire trilogy. But this
Wait,
collects.
were they in Epics already? I thought these were notably missing from.
No,
the
they've been in
line.
Epics.
No, this is pretty much exactly, in fact, I think it's exactly Star Wars New Republic Volume 4.
It's the
All
one
three
that's
of these
really
are,
expensive. I remember that because that one came and
and I,
went.
and instead of just reprinting that book, I think they wanted something they could put Thrawn on the title since he was in the Ahsoka show.
Oh
And,
yeah, yeah. It's weird that I mean they're gonna eventually reprint New Republic Volume 4 as New Republic Volume 4. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
That yeah.
These Star Wars ones, they have some great art, some early Terry Dodson stuff in here, and unfortunately, I'm in the middle of reading Dark Force Rising right now, the second one, and it really feels like an adaptation of the books. Like it's not. There's just too much content in the books to squish into 6 issues, and so they're just jumping all over the place. So not my favorite reading experience.
You know what I was thinking of that is abandoned? Isn't Shadows of the Empire 1 through 6 currently marooned by the Epic mapping? I feel maybe that's what I was thinking of.
It's scheduled to come out in
That one's this year.
Yeah,
one
it's
of
like
them.
one of the last things that still hasn't been
One of the last
touched
things.
yet.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's they haven't forgotten
But it's
about it.
coming.
Yep.
The new printing of Freedom. It's coming out.
Yeah.
This is volume 3.
A lot of people.
of the Epic collection.
This is one that people voted for. So there you go, everybody who was looking for it.
Why are we getting
This
2
is good
printings
stuff.
of this before an omnibus of this? I'm just asking on behalf of all the omnibus collectors. This is some good material, and notably missing from the omnibus collection. So you got to use these epics as gap fillers.
I don't know. I don't know how well Silver Surfer sells in Epics compared to Omnis. I don't know. I mean, could be a lot of different things that are keeping it from coming in Omnibus. I would like to see it because I mean, this would be in the second volume, right? Because we have the John Buscema era.
Does the first one have a volume 1, or is it just called Silver Surfer?
The Epic collection.
The Epic or the Omnibus?
The omnibus. Oh yeah, it does have volume 1. I got one.
It's
right
got a
in front of
volume
me.
1.
Yeah, you're right. Good call.
Now it's mapped different than the Epic collections because the Epic collections have like his early appearances, and also getting the Fantastic Four as a new printing. So that's why it's important to come back and vote, everybody, because that's how it happens.
Yeah, this is the beginning of the Walter Simonson era of Fantastic Four. Some really cool, fun stuff in here. Some time travel and some outer space fun. I think this is where we get a lot of the TVA stuff.
Yeah.
We get to see
Mobius
Mr.
shows up there.
Mobius.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yes, that's what I said. I was like, back when it was just called Star Wars.
Yeah,
They didn't have a new
1977.
Mighty Marvel Masterworks, The Avengers, Volume 4, 31 through 40, the classic Stan Lee and Roy Thomas, Don Heck era, with your standard edition cover by Leonardo Romero and Gil Kane supplying the direct market cover. I can't believe we still don't have a Mighty Marvel Masterworks Iron Man. That's crazy. I really thought we would get one by now. Like, we have Captain Marvel, we have Black Panther, we have Namor. No Iron Man, no love for the Shellhead. Maybe one day. Maybe we'll get a Ghost Rider 2099 Mighty Marvel Masterworks. That would be interesting. Now, if you're interested in purchasing these books and you live in the EU, check out waltzcomicshop.com. They're based out of Berlin, Germany, and they have the cheapest pre-order prices for Marvel and DC big books. Flat shipping rates of 12 euros for all EU countries, and you tell them Near Mint Condition sent you their way, and you get free shipping on your checkout for all EU countries with orders of over 40 euros or more. And that's waltzcomicshop.com. Let's go back to the beginning and then talk about some of these stories we're excited for. Ghost Rider 2099 is coming out, the Omnibus, both covers. And then ROM Volume 3 coming out in November, wrapping up ROM, the original Marvel years. Punisher Max. This follows up the Garth Ennis era. And then the Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume 4. How many printings has this had? Do you all remember? Do you
This
remember?
is new printing 3. It says it on the solicit, actually.
Oh,
If
it
you're
does?
including Phoenix Volume 1, I think it's 4.
Nobody except Oddfell is including the Phoenix Volume 1.
I am
Dazzler Omnibus. I don't even have to ask Peter what he's most excited for in this particular solicits. Marvel Masterworks, the Tomb of Dracula Volume 4. And Man-Thing kicking off his Marvel Masterworks. X-Men, the Extinction Agenda Omnibus, Jim Lee cover, and both covers are done by Jim Lee.
Yes.
And Marvel Gods, White Widow, Thunderbolts, Acceptable Losses, the Immortal Thor Volume 2, All Trials Are One, and Daredevil. I think that's the first Gang War collection we have in out of these solicits, the first one. I'm going to need more Punisher War Journal in Omnibus format. A big, beefy butcher of bad guys needs a hefty home on my shelf. I would love that stuff. The War Journal has some amazing artwork, too. Iron Man is coming out. Demon Wars and Miguel O'Hara's Spider-Man, or Spider-Man 2099 Miguel O'Hara. Vengeance of Moon Knight Volume 1. It's a cover by David Finch there. And then Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise is coming out in trade paperback, previously released as a Treasury edition. Doctor Strange by Mark Waid, Volume 2. This is a big, thick book. Mace Windu, or Star Wars Mace Windu, The Twilight Run, and Shang-Chi by Jean-Louis Yang. Very interesting that we're getting these thickies. Eternals by Kieran Gillen. What If Dark, and X-Men Reign of X by Jonathan Hickman, Volume 1. And Dom of X was in the chat. He said, Omar, that's the cover to issue number 10. Maybe they can change it to another cover. He's right. That is the cover to X-Men 10.
Maybe the contents are wrong and it does go up to X of Swords.
That would be post 12, right? Issue 12, 13.
Yeah.
The Savage Avengers, Jerry Duggan, which that sparked up a lot of conversations between us. Marvel Age Treasury Edition is coming out. These are those big books, by the way. Dracula trade paperback, which has been in the works since when, Curtis?
1974.
There you go. Deadpool and Cable, which is really Cable and Deadpool. Ballistic Bromance, Volume 1. And then the Hulk Epic Collection, Volume 9, Kill or Be Killed. And To Die and Live in LA as the She-Hulk Epic Collection, Volume 6. Some modern love here for Star Wars in Epic Collection, Volume 1. And the Thrawn. I love that Thrawn is just thrown in here in the Epic portion of the of the stream. Like they could have put it in up there with like Mace Windu, but no, we'll just.
I honestly thought it was an epic this whole time. It's just occurring to me that it's not an epic collection.
Silver Surfer Epic Collection Freedom Volume 3. And then Fantastic Four Volume 20. Hold on a second. Paper stock prices are down across the globe right now, but we're really not seeing that at a consumer level. Do you expect to see that change from Marvel?
No.
Really? Are they?
I've not heard
that.
about.
Once price increases, they are sticky. They are very sticky.
If anything, you'd be better off trying to argue that we could get thicker paper stock back in the Omnis. Maybe like that. I think that would be a better argument than trying to get the prices lowered.
Yeah, that's just not happening.
100%, it's not.
I think like I always think of things like taxes when it comes to those things. Like whenever they instate a new tax law, and it's like a temporary tax law. Like we're still paying for taxes for like things that happened in 1912. I just never do away with them. It's already written in.
Yeah, I worked hard on that bill back in 1912. So it should. I went there myself before anybody else did.
Fantastic Four into nobody said anything, Jess.
I know they would have.
Time stream.
Filled the vacuum.
Okay. Mighty Marvel Masterworks, The Avengers Volume 4, The Sign of the Serpent. And that is issues 31 through 40. Smash that like button while you're still here. And we're going to go back to the beginning. And I'm going to ask my panel and everybody else that's watching, what's the one book you're most excited for if you could choose one out of here? I'm going to start with Johnny since he's at the very top, and I'll go down.
And hey, just a heads up, I'm on my phone right now. I'm liking this video myself, so if I can do it, everybody watching can. So,
thank you.
Called out.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this to make sure I'm right. Am I correct that Extinction Agenda was actually on the poll for the last 2 years?
2 years, my friend. 2 years.
Okay, so most definitely my answer is Extinction Agenda, as that was my #1 vote both of those years. It's been my most wanted omnibus for, I mean, since we saw that they were going to like reprint the OHCs as omnibus, that's been my #1, dude. I am so excited. I am thrilled that they chose the Wanted poster as the DM cover, although I do wish, if you're not aware of this, originally when this event was happening,
we're aware. Go ahead.
Sure you are. But they sent out a promo Wanted poster to comic shops that's actually 24 by 36. I have like 3 copies of this, and it's that image, but it's done on like an old-timey old Western brown paper, and it's like it looks ragged even when they're like brand new. It's just got that old look to it. And I kind of wish they used that instead of the colored version, but I'm not going to complain too much. I love that image. Archangel looks like a badass. Jim Lee sure knows how to draw him. So,
whenever we were going over the books, I did mention that, I don't really fight the fight of, hey, can you change the cover out anymore? How I did it was I got the cover images and I emailed them back going, oh, did you all mean to send me this image instead? And it was the one that so I tried.
Image, or did you send them the Wanted poster?
Oh, I did, because they sent me that image, and I thought,
yeah, okay,
there's a small chance they might have forgotten there's an original image, so I'm just going to play that card.
Yeah.
Did you all mean to send me this picture here?
It's
and
really
they got back to me. They were like, no, we're sticking with the Cyclops. They knew what it was. I was like, okay, cool.
Oh, because it's Cable, right? Cable's in the original image instead of Cyclops.
Yeah, because it's it's the New Mutants. So it's like X-Men, X-Factor, and the new representing New Mutants for the crossover. I have wanted that Extinction Agenda omnibus for so long that Extinction Agenda defaults to all caps into my autocorrect. I need it so much.
That's sick.
This is like I told Peter and everybody when we were doing this, like, this is a testament to how wonderful this community has been, because there was no Extinction Agenda omnibus, and I didn't know if they were going to do it. Like, I kept trying, because what they're doing is putting 2 OHCs together, but then they decided to remap it, and they've never done that. They've just given us things like Inferno and Fall of the Mutants and the Inferno prologue, and just rebranded as an omnibus. This is the first time they've actually remap something for us that we voted for, and that's amazing.
Wasn't Inferno remapped with the crossovers though, or
well, I mean that's putting like that. That's putting two of the big
they
books
didn't actually
together, right?
reorganize.
Yeah, this is actually like adding the Marvel Comics Presents stuff, like taking away the X-Men issues that introduces us to like Genosha and giving us the Starjammers.
You're talking 235 to 237, right? Those are the 3 issues.
Yeah, those 3 issues.
Why would they not? Is that just space? Do you think that they didn't?
Because this is now perfectly mapped to go in between X-Men Volume 1 and X-Men Volume 2 by Claremont and Jim Lee. That's why.
Yeah, they're thinking ahead so they can eventually just redress this as Uncanny X-Men Volume whatever.
Oh, you would think, Curtis. But does Peter have some mappings to show you with the many routes they can go? Also, what about
well, the way they're going to get people to rebuy them is that it's all going to get redistributed. The Claremont Lee books and this are going to get broken up in a totally different way. Mark my words. 2029.
I will.
What about you, Oddfell? What are you most excited for that is not the Dark Phoenix saga in Uncanny Omnibus Volume 2?
So, I mean, I already have my ideal mapping of the Dark Phoenix saga. We know that.
Of course you do.
But as tempting as Extinction is, I'm going to have to go with Dazzler because I do like character-focused omnibuses, and I'm actually really excited for the books they've included in it. So I'm going to have to go with Dazzler.
The Dazzler on the Final
also
Shadow.
Like Art Germ.
Oh, which cover though? That's the most important thing.
Art Germ. Art Germ looks great. I love the classic one, but Art Germ's cover looks so good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I told Peter my story when I got this, like, because when I filmed the video, it was a placeholder. There was no image, right? So I'm like, this cover's by Art Germ. Look how pretty it looks, because I knew it was going to be pretty. When I got the image on the email, I don't know why, but I wrote, wow, that's hot. And I sent it before realizing that I was sending it to the group, right? I'm like, oh my God, that's going to come off so unprofessional. And they all replied back with, right, isn't it? Oh, she looks so hot. I was like, yeah.
No, she looks spectacular. That's the cover. Like, oh my God.
Peter, which cover? Because I know what book you're most excited for.
I'm gonna get the class. I generally default to classic covers, so I do like the modern logo a lot better though. So I'm like, oh, I love the long Z's logo, but I think I'm gonna go with the classic cover.
Classic cover by Bob Larkin. Okay, Curtis, what about you? Which cover are you gonna get? No, I'm just kidding. Which book are you most excited for?
Which Dazzler Epic Collection?
Stay in your lane, Curtis. Stay in your lane.
I'm gonna go with the classic Incredible Hulk Epic Collection because I've been reading through those ones. Yep, and they're just so good. The whole era of Hulk through the 70s, a lot of fun stuff,
and a lot of artwork in there by our pal Sal with John Byrne, huh?
Very cool. Steve Ditko, Carmine Infantino. Look at all that.
What about you there, Omni Dog? What's the book you're most excited for?
You're welcome for Dazzler Bus, since I have the 4 Marvel Masterworks, which I got because I never thought there could be a Dazzler Bus. So I'm not picking that. Maybe White Widow, Eternals. I'll say Eternals because I really want to read Judgment Day and I need Eternals to do that.
It's a good choice, man. That's a good. That's an excellent read. I really dug it.
Yeah, that's a thick book. I'm happy for that because I'm wanting to read Judgment Day, and I saw in the comments that Oldfeld said she wanted to read the Clea part by Jed MacKay. That the whole Death of Doctor Strange thing by Jed MacKay and Clea as the Sorcerer Supreme, so good, super good. So
really great.
I need to catch up because I read the Death of Doctor Strange and then I didn't read the next one, so I'm excited to read
Strange. Strange is good. It was fun.
Yeah, I have the trades, so that means there'll be an omnibus. You're welcome. Same with Moon Knight. That happened. Yeah. So
Thank you for your sacrifice. You made Shang-Chi happen. Now you need to buy this so you can make an omnibus happen.
Sure.
Once you get that Eternals, I'll announce the omnibus with Judgment Day.
I totally believe it.
I'm kidding.
No, it's gonna happen. It's all right.
I mean, it will one day, right? It will one day.
I have my part in the food chain. I get it.
As far as me, I gotta go with Extinction Agenda. That is a dream mapping come true. Love it.
Which cover are you going with?
Oh, the standard. I'm not the biggest fan of adding Cyclops there. I think, please correct me, Peter, but you actually like that 2.0 coloring, right? Like the colors that they use.
It's fun on the interior of a Lee book, but I love that Havoc cover. I love like Jubilee like vaulting over. Yeah.
Yes.
And by the way, you skipped me in that round, but that's okay. I know you were assuming I would say Dazzler.
Dazzler, didn't you?
No, you told me that Dazzler was my.
I feel like
he picked the cover for you. Oh, you got to pick your cover.
Okay.
Yeah, I just got to pick a cover. Everybody else
book are you most excited? No, I did it on purpose. Last but not least, Peter, what book are you most excited for?
I mean, obviously Dazzler, but I do already own Dazzler in floppies and Essentials and Masterworks, so it's not like it's new to me. In terms of the book that I'm like, finally, it's that She-Hulk epic. Like that, I'm always in favor of like, let's get some material ticked off the list. Let's make sure it's on Marvel Unlimited. Let's close off some epic lines with a final epic volume so we know where they're going to end. So to me, that's when I saw that, my eyes just lit up. I think that's really exciting.
I love that. Why does that blonde dude on the X-Men cover look like Naruto? I'm gonna fix this for you, Bar.
Havoc?
Why does Naruto look like Havoc?
What?
Look, Havoc has a proud tradition of wearing as few clothes as possible in that
especially in the Inferno saga.
Yeah. They got to lean into that. He's the Himbo Summers brother, and he really shouldn't have any clothing. Really. Any suit that's the all black Havoc costume, I'm like, that only exists so it can get torn off so we can see what's underneath.
It doesn't last very long. I'm going to go through the chat here and see what everybody's excited for while we were chatting away. See, this is people's excited for Ghost Rider 2099. That's cool. As I'm going through here. The Dracula material has already been released in hardback. Wasn't there a soft cover too? I think you're right. It was just called...
I have it for sure somewhere.
I need more epic collections for my second bookshelf right now. Oh, don't worry, Jesse. They're coming. And let's think of the first Dazzler Omnibus, Extinction Agenda, Ghost Rider 2099, the Thrawn book, Ghost Rider 2099, or so we can get more Marvel 2099. I really think we need a Doom 2099. That would be a good collection.
Yeah, that's the one I want to read. I've heard so much good about it.
Solid. There's a little bit of a twist with that character. That
Ooh.
I'm not gonna say, but
yeah,
I dug it. Eternals and What If, dark. Dazzler for me. If not for her, What If, Spidey 2099 and White Widow. Maybe Ghost Rider 2099. Uncanny X-Men 2 and Extinction Agenda, Dazzler and Ghost Rider 2099. For real, ROM, Extinction Agenda, and FF Epic, Extinction Agenda. So we can get that on Marvel. Oh, the Marvel Comics Presents stories in there. Yes. ROM Epic Collection Volume 1. What are you saying to your people, Curtis?
Hey, I can't control the influence.
Fix your people.
Fix your people, Curtis. Only White Widow sounds like a thing I might read someday. I guess that one. We'll have to see what Dazzler Omnibus collects. We just told you what it collects. And to see any of the modern stuff. I wasn't.
Well, I think you're only going to like White Widow.
Yeah, Cable keeps this poster in the theme metal. Oh, yes. That's a good way of wording
Oh, that's a great point, actually.
Yeah, it's good. I kind of want that Extinction Agenda poster now. That poster is awesome. The Colossus and Havoc Marvel Comic Presents issues. Those Silver Surfer FF and Hulk epics for me. Maybe that X Omni. If I can talk the dogs into skipping eating one. Don't do that.
No.
Dog. Just got the Art Germ Dazzler art as a variant in Marvel Snap. Now I need the book too. Marvel Snap is the phone game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dazzler Buzz. This just in. Omar's a dude. Totally not just a basic dude, man. Classic cover. Let's see. Want the near mint condition exclusive cover of Extinction Agenda. Oh man, which one would it be? Oh, the wanted poster. That one would be awesome.
I just think there should be a special pre-order just for Near Mint, since the Near Mint channel dreamed this book into existence.
Oh,
I think there
dude.
should be a Near Mint condition Marvel
Like
special Omar Select cover.
If I got to choose the covers, it would be a bad idea. David would be like emailing me going, "We need to talk."
What would you choose?
Can you choose anything outside of the Marvel?
If you could have chosen anything in that book to be the cover of the book, what would you have chosen?
Oh, there's some really good covers. I mean, if here's the thing though, if you have Jim Lee as the artist internally, then you have to use a Jim Lee cover because it sells.
It just creates pre-orders from whence there was none. When people
honestly,
see Jim Lee art,
the wanted poster, the original wanted poster. Or something from the Marvel swimsuit era. And all my covers would be something from the Marvel swimsuit era. David would be like, we need to talk about your covers. Can we just call them the Marvel swimsuit cover? Yes. Ghost Rider 2099. More McKay Omnis are welcome.
Well, they're coming.
I'm sure they'll come. If I must choose one, Dazzler Omnibus. Hard to pick one. Thank you, Bar. Naruto. What is wrong with you young people? Go open a book. ROM 3, Dazzler, Extinction Agenda, a Hulk Epic, maybe Silver Surfer Epic, and I want that man thing. Silver Surfer Epic 3, Extinction Agenda Omnibus. And best way to collect X-Men, double dips with event omnis, of course, but what's the most efficient way to collect these stories? Curtis.
Phoenix Volume 1.
Definitely go for the Epic Collections.
There you go. Curtis has spoken. He's lying, though. Because the letter pages ain't in no damn Epic Collection. Shang-Chi is my top pick. Really like the modern stories for him. I do as well. Extinction Agenda Omni, baby. For me, is the 2 Masterworks. The Ghost Rider 2099, good. Can't say I've read. I've only read like 3 issues. But if anybody in the chat has read it, Peter, did you read the whole thing?
No, Curtis? I only read the first few. I have it all, but I've only read the first few issues.
Yeah, I've only read the first 3. That's it. Then my time with comics was kind of over. Thrawn. Omar, how many Masterworks does Marvel try to release each? Oh, this is a good question. For each character per year. I just bought Daredevil 18 after your overview and was wondering how long. Usually it's used to be
1 a year, isn't it?
Depends on the character, right?
Yeah, it used to be 2, and then they slowed things down to 1 a year. And sometimes it's 1 every 2 years. What is that
per character?
Because they have so many new lines that they're adding. Because remember, like Masterworks, the way they work, or at least the way they're intended to work, is to release the books in chronological order. So they've gone through like the 60s, the 70s. Now we're diving into a little bit of the late 70s and early 80s. So I'm assuming soon we'll see things like New Mutants and Alpha Flight, that era of Masterworks. So when you add so many lines, if you're only releasing 2 Masterworks a month, that limits how many, how many times you're going to have a Thor book or a Fantastic Four book, because you're focusing on new series, which is the case of the Epics. I mean, the same thing happened to the Epics, right? People complain that they only wanted Thor and Fantastic Four, and they would have been done with that had they not added things like Killraven or Moon Knight or Spider-Gwen modern epic. Believe me, I'm sure Curtis hears about it all the time. I'm a big Hulk and She-Hulk fan, so those are a must for me. Most excited for Extinction Agenda. Thanks so much, Peter. Appreciate that. Grabbing the Extinction, I guess. And that sounded like an old man. That's the phone. Definitely Extinction Agenda now. I just got to tell or sell Uncanny 5. And Omar covers would be better than all the random Joe Quesada covers. We did get to pick one of the covers one year, didn't we? We voted for the Uncanny X-Men 4, the direct market cover. We as a community got to pick that. That was really cool. So everybody voted for 193.
Did everyone here vote for that? I definitely did vote for 193.
I think most people did.
Yeah. Okay.
I did not.
Oh,
because I wasn't
Alright.
aware of it.
This just tells me that Marvel doesn't have enough modern female ongoing series to collect them in omnibuses like they do with Daredevil or
Well, really, there's the will it sell factor. We just saw that come up in this catalog, right? The Shang-Chi book is as long as some of the modern omnibuses that were getting whipped out right after runs, like for Thor, for Donny Cates' Hulk. But Shang-Chi, despite it being a really great series, a character that's been in the MCU, is getting a trade paperback. And a lot of that comes down to a lot of factors, like what has that character's sales history been? What has that writer's sales history been? For Young as a writer, he's somebody who's really popular with graphic novel fans. It's probably going to be easier to move a trade paperback. So I think, I do think there is like a subtle discrimination against certain characters in terms of what gets an omnibus or not. But I have to believe that there's a lot of data going on in the background there at Marvel, and they kind of know what's going to sell an omnibus and what would do better in these digest trades. Honestly, I'm just happy when books get into the hands of the right readers. If there's going to be more new readers for Kate Bishop and Spider-Gwen and all of these characters with digest size trades, put them out in digest size trades, right? I don't need an omnibus on my shelf to feel good about a comic that I already like. So I just, would I love everything to be an omnibus? Yes. What do I think that Shang-Chi book should be an omnibus? Yes.
I agree.
I got a question about Shang-Chi, actually. How come is it like the Conan thing we were talking? Like, how can they print a new Shang-Chi series, but they can't print Master of Kung Fu? Is it because of the Master of Kung Fu moniker?
Oh, it's because of his
Fu
origin.
Manchu.
So it's a character of Fu Manchu that's the issue. It
belongs to the Sax Romer estate. And so even in this modern series, they do have his dad, quote unquote, but it's not his dad as Fu Manchu, which when they do the reprints of the old Master of Kung Fu, Fu Manchu and his mythology is like central to who Shang-Chi is. So Marvel needed permission from the estate in order to print it.
Got it. Thank you.
But Shang-Chi himself is an original Marvel character.
Yes.
Owned and created by Marvel.
Got it.
Do I think they'll do an omnibus or epic first of Spider-Woman?
Ooh, good question.
Well, her series is up. Much like Dazzler, it would be a...
I can answer that. I have all the trades, so that means it's going to be an Omni. You're welcome. And I recommend all the books, too. Spider-Woman's well written.
I like the later part of her run. I think at first, like...
The current run or the
Masterworks. Is that what you were talking about?
Oh, no, I was actually talking about... I love the Masterworks, but I was actually talking about the most recent Spider-Woman stuff.
Oh, like the Dennis Hopeless and the Carla Pacheco stuff?
The Pacheco, the Hopeless. That's all good.
Those are good. I actually like the Pacheco run a little more than the Dennis Hopeless run. Just because it reminded me of the Jessica Drew that I really like using her detective skills and stuff. What money is old Chinese yellow peril racism character making for the estate except for Master of Kung Fu?
Good use of yellow peril.
That was fantastic.
Wow.
I would like to super chat that comment. Can I pay money to get somebody else's comment highlighted?
Send DV $10 right now.
I don't know how. Let me stop this. Remove this from the chat. All right, and now we are back. So just reminding people to hit that like button. Barb brought up a really good question about, and I know she's been chatting in the chat, and I know a lot of the time she's trolling, but there is that question of like how there's not enough female characters, and back to what Peter was saying, it's not just female characters, but they have to look at everything. Like, do these characters sell? And I know when it comes to when it used to come to action figures, like Marvel Legends specifically, the action figure community would call the female figures peg warmers.
Peg warmers.
Because those figures did not sell. And they would all usually go on clearance, and usually is the one that boys didn't want to play with, or men collectors didn't really need in their collection. I don't know. And I feel like comics is kind of that way, because now we've seen a change in that, where we've seen the sometimes like the female figures are the chase figures or the hard one to find, or they're just sold out immediately, which is really cool. And we kind of see that a little bit in comics. These things take time. It's not, I think when you're young, you want everything to change so quick. But when you get older, you realize, oh, there is change. Like if you take a step back from when I first started collecting, or when Peter or when Jess first started collecting, I can assure you that there are a lot more women walking into those comic book stores than there have ever been. When I used to work at a comic book store, and I remember I made the comment, like, we should have a bell that every time a woman walks in here, we get to ring that bell, because it never happens. And Oddfell worked at a comic book store, and I'm sure she could tell you the amount of women that walked in there just either lurking or actually reading comics.
Same for cons too. A lot more women and family at cons.
Mm-hmm. And just even at toy shows. Like I go to toy shows a lot. I mean, and I have to say, like, there was a surprising amount of women.
I met her at BotCon. We got together at BotCon.
Yeah. Like it's great to see, because like I feel like in online spaces it's really easy to feel like you're the only one, or that it's very infrequent, but going to actual toy shows and seeing like how many women actually show up is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It does feel like, that there has been a change, and things take time to change. Sometimes people's mentalities just take a longer time, but I can assure you, that I know when I first started collecting comics to the point where we are now, it's amazing. Like taking my girls there and seeing families at comic book stores. Used to be just the Wednesday Warriors that would show up, and most of them were white men, right? Like that's what it usually
I think
was.
It's like the reflection between the fan community and between the actual topics and creators and characters in the comics, right? Like we want to amplify fan voices out there that are incredibly diverse and have people of, all genders and all races and everything. But at the same time, when you read a comic by a creator or of a character who is you love that's not like you, like go out there and be loud about it, right? Like I feel like part of why Kelly Thompson is so popular now, other than the fact that she is incredibly talented, is that every single comic fan made noise and said, Kelly Thompson is amazing. We're buying these books, we're reading these books, right? Like, and now she's viewed, she won an Eisner, she's working for DC now. She's viewed as one of the best current writers in the industry. So like when I look at the current release slate from Marvel, I definitely take note. Like that White Widow book, I had not heard one word about that online. And when I saw it was going to be on the slate for the show, I was like, I'm going to read it and I'm going to tweet about it no matter what. Maybe it's bad, maybe it's good. And then I wound up loving it. So I'm just like, y'all, if you want to see female creators, if you want to see omnibuses with women characters, go out there and make noise. Noise is effective.
I'm sorry, when you were spouting truth, I was
making noise.
I was reading Phil Owens's comment.
Yeah, that's a funny comment.
As a comic fan in the 60s and 70s, I never even saw a real woman until I was 43. I had to highlight too. That was hilarious. My current comic book shop, thank you for the super chat, Brian. Bookshop is so diverse in terms of ages, races, orientations, and genders these days. Makes me so happy to see, happy that my fiance of color can finally feel comfortable within my hobby. And I'm not saying that, there's not what did Maddie use? Gatekeepers at comic book stores, stereotypical comic book shop owners, that will, I'm sure they exist still, but it is nicer to feel like you are welcomed everywhere. That's cool. I think it's awesome. Just shows change in times. I think another issue is that the segment of fanboys who hate on female characters is because they are very loud. Well, there is that. I always talk about female-led books and female creators, but sometimes I feel a bit alone in that conversation.
Oh, you've always got me, Bar.
There's
and me as well.
There's different there's different channels out there. They all review different types of books. I know Curtis, he's a big fan of the classic stuff. And it's not until the modern era that you started getting a lot of female-centric writers and female-centric characters. But there's also some good in that too, like the classic stuff. You just don't have to be about modern. I know some people really don't like the modern era type of storytelling, but there's some really good stuff out there.
It doesn't have to be an either or proposition. I think there's plenty to like right now, and there's plenty to like from 50 years ago. It's brought it's not a zero-sum game. I mean, you don't have to be just reading stuff from 50 years ago or limiting yourself to right now. It's all good. I mean, it's just gotten better and better. Making it more diverse as far as characters just means it broadens how interesting the stories can get, and creators too. So I always say it. We are living in the golden age, the real golden age of comics, because everything has the prospect of being really good right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. My very first comic that I ever read was G. Willow Wilson's Miss Marvel. I got into the hobby late in my age. Bless the female creators. And I'm not saying they weren't any. As a matter of fact, we just lost one huge this past week. 97 years young. My goodness. But I mean, we had some in the past, but it was definitely a guy's game out there for sure.
Yeah.
And
I feel like
Severin stands out to me a lot as when I think of like Marvel and like one of the female pioneers, Marie Severin, because she's one of my favorite artists of all time. I just want to throw her name out there as one of the older, female creators for Marvel. If you're not familiar with her.
Oh, Phil, what were you about to say?
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say writers like Wheezy and Nascenti, like I know they can be hit or miss sometimes for some people, but like they were in the game early. Like that's the reason characters like Typhoid Mary even exist and are so powerful is women in early comics making them that way. So I don't know. There definitely are books you can find in the older stories, but it's definitely more common now, and it's really great getting to see a lot of these characters get spotlights now, like Yelena, that otherwise I don't think ever would.
I just this is so weird. I got a reminder that tomorrow is kicks off Women History Month.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when your mom brings you lunch again?
I was having a serious conversation, Jess.
So was I.
But it's funny that we went into this topic without even thinking about it, because today's leap year. So technically today would have been March 1st. Maybe subconsciously, that's why I brought it up. Because Bar was trolling in the chat. Now you can go on about the joking of my mom coming over with my mom's basement. Is that what it is? I can't keep up.
It's your birthday cake because March is your birthday.
Yeah, it's your birthday month. She'll bring you something every day since you've claimed that month for yourself.
I did. Us geeks went to the comic store specifically to see gorgeous women in a glossy gatefold polybag special edition. Yes, and that's still true. I mean, we still get a lot of those covers.
I definitely do.
Yeah, they have not gone away.
Like, can I have my variant covers? Thank you. Goodbye.
Sometimes those variant covers sell those books. Spider-Girl Omni now. Well, we're getting the Epic, so that's a good thing. That's a good start. Nancy Collins Swamp Thing is one of my favorites. It's good.
Omar, I got a jet, so I need to sign off here.
Where can people find you, buddy?
Having me on the show. Head over, just search for Epic Marvel Podcast on social media, and you can find my various accounts. However, I'm under my own name on TikTok for some reason. I didn't do Epic Marvel Podcast. And then also check out the Epic Collection group on Facebook, because we talk about Epic Collections all the time. There's also Discord. James is putting all the links in the chat. Thanks, James, as always. And thanks, everybody.
Tune in next Wednesday, because Curtis will be joining me to kick off the Marvel Epic reprint poll.
That's right. And we're going to have a good time.
So there's your info on Curtis. Be good, buddy. Thank you for being here.
Yep. Thanks a lot. See you, everybody.
See you, Curtis. Oatfelt, what do you think? Is this your next cosplay?
No, I've thought about that suit for such a long time, but white spandex is so daunting. But that's one of my favorite spider suits of all time. It's so good.
Been trying to get her to cosplay as Nami. She wouldn't even have to wear a wig.
Everyone keeps asking me to. My hair is the right length right now. I'm probably gonna do the live action one, even though I haven't seen it yet.
Dude, you look spot on, just like her. You should definitely watch it.
I do want to watch it at some point because I've heard it's really well done.
Solid. Women's History Month will be a great time to announce an expanded Miss Marvel Omnibus. Yeah, people have been wanting that one. How about a Millie the Model or Barbie Omnibus?
Millie the Model bus. Right here, buddy.
How many would it take? It would take more than one with everything, Millie. Oh my goodness.
One buyer.
That is a lot of restoration and whew. And Renew Your Vows would also be a good option for more female-friendly title. It might be a family piece, but it's really good. Has anybody read Ultimate Spider-Man out of curiosity, the new one by Jonathan Hickman?
One? Yeah.
Okay, I read the 2 issues. Man, I don't know how you feel, Peter. But oh my god, I loved it. I thought it was good. I don't know how I
just
feel
like
about
seeing
everybody.
Hickman do something different. It feels like it's been literally over a decade since we've gotten Hickman on something that like is as small and personal as this. And that's why I loved him originally, because Hickman at the very beginning of his career, you know, even though he was doing stuff like Red Mass for Mars and stuff indie, you know, his original book was Nightly News, which was such a small book and such a personal book. And then his Fantastic Four, even though it was a huge scope, it was very much about the family. So I'm an OG Hickman fan where like some of I got into him before it was about, not to be like I got into him before, but I did. I had all of his books on my shelf when the focus was smaller and more personal. So I love Ultimate Spider-Man. It feels like that's the Hickman I signed up for back in like 2009.
There's a couple moments that so my wife's the one that was like, you're gonna read this because it's really good. And I thought, I gotta read it in trade. I'll wait. But I'm glad she did. She made me read it. It was excellent. Oh my gosh, it was so good. That moment when she's like, "Go get him, Tiger." I was like, "Oh yes, I love you, Mary Jane." That's what I miss. I don't know what it is about Batman that makes him one of the only male characters that I genuinely love, like my favorite female characters. But no Marvel make character strikes me like that. Like Batman. Who's the most Batman Marvel character?
Daredevil.
The Shroud.
Daredevil, yeah, I was gonna say him.
The Shroud.
Moon Knight. Well, he's got the Bruce Wayne persona thing. That's the connection.
Daredevil would be the closest one, yeah. Also, Millie the Model. What is James saying? 5 Millie the Model spin-off series. Yeah, I'm curious about Ultimate X-Men. Ultimate X-Men seems to be the one that I don't know where they're going to go with that. Because it's Peach Momoko. We've seen her stuff in Demon Days and Demon Wars. And X-Men looks, honestly, the preview pages look just as trippy as Trad Moore's Doctor Strange. I don't know where she's going to go with that story, but I'm curious. Miss Fury, Marvel lost the rights to, I think Dynamite owns Miss Fury now. We need some Moon Girl thick collection split into 2. I'm surprised we don't have that yet. Those sell really well. Those little Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Hey, do you think there could be a Storm Omnibus?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
That'd be sick. I would love that.
It could be a Storm Omni, a Rogue Omnibus, Psylocke Omnibus. You can map any of these X ladies. They have so many. I won't stop asking Ultimate Omnis. We need that all collected. Ultimate FF. What do we need? Ultimate FF, the Ultimate... I'm surprised we don't have Ultimates 3 with Ultimatum together. That's one that surprises me that they never did. Like or make it just like an Ultimatum Omnibus. It's awful. Absolutely awful. But Joe Matt on artwork, David Finch on artwork. Yeah, people will buy it up. A dupe Omnibus. Ooh, we do need a X23 one. That would be good. Yeah, and the beauty about Storm is that you can do a classic Omnibus, and then you can keep going with modern runs, because there's a lot of her runs that has never been collected, like outside of small little trade paperbacks that are long out of print. I think Peter and I talked a little bit about the Greg Pak run of Storm.
That Storm
is
series
excellent.
is so good. Yeah.
It's an excellent run. Yes, we need an Ultimatum. It's so expensive on eBay. Do not pay the ultimate price for Ultimatum is needed. See, I knew people would buy it up. It's just so bad. Oh, it's so bad. Obligatory Mexican Gwen Stacy reference. Yes, yes. Oh, now that's the cover I would choose. That's a near make. near mint condition exclusive cover. Oh my gosh, if I got to choose one of those covers, it'll be a fold out cover. The OHCs are ridiculous on the second market. Yeah, because they've been out of print and they've never been reprinted in omnibus format, which surprises me. I think by that point they were done with like, okay, we're done with the Ultimate Universe. Let's like wrap up some of these series and oversized hardcover and call it a day. Kitty Pryde is a good one. Mohawk.
It should be really hard to map because she was just everywhere there for a second, but it would be great.
Phil, are you trolling me? Which omnibus do I think should be evergreen? A Storm omnibus or an Uncanny Volume 1?
He's fully trolling.
Gonna haunt you.
All that needs to happen is Oddfell needs to sell us on the Storm omnibus. That's all she wrote, baby.
I'm gonna have a spreadsheet.
I might as well go home with my Uncanny Volume 1 omnibus that I wanted in evergreen, because that ain't happening. Honey Badger omnibus. I need a Power Man in Iron Fist by David Walker and Sanford. Oh, I think that would be a fun, like, there's not enough material, right? But maybe with like, oh, what was that? Was it called Power Man or was it called Luke? Or it was called Cage. He had a 90s run. It was called Cage. What was that Cage. Max series by Brian Azzarello? Do you remember that, Peter? Was it Cage?
I think it might just have been called Cage.
Again, they can add that in there. Add Walker's Luke Cage, yeah. Rogan Gambit omnibus, collecting all their limited series, miniseries, and crossovers. Yes, that's one of my most wanted. I would love that.
Can I ask a mapping question to Peter real quick?
Sure.
I want to ask. I'd love your opinion on this. Because I've asked Omar. So
wait,
now he wants the right answer.
He wants the right answer.
Now he wants the right answer.
More opinions, bro. Actually, I don't think we even got to an answer of the question when we talked about it. But all right, the gap that we're gonna have between Alien Symbiote Omnibus or whatever Black Suit Omnibus and McFarlane, do you think they're gonna fill that with any type of whatever I call it, Crater-centric, Craven's Last Hunt Omnibus? Like, do you think that gap's gonna get plugged, or do you think we gotta wait till ASM 9 to get those issues? What's your gut feel?
You know, it's interesting because I think that the Spider-Man fandom and Omni fandom doesn't like beat the drum quite as hard as the X-Men fandom to fill in the stuff. Like if you look back, every Tiger Eyes poll has whatever the next X-Men gap or the next X-Men Omni is at the top of the poll. So I think if the Spider-Man fandom started to make enough noise to be like, you've got to fill in between Stern and Black Suit, between Black Suit and McFarlane, then we would see them. But I don't know that the fan community has like made it loud enough for Marvel that they want coverage, and those Spider-Man Omnis jump around a little bit more because they're, you know, I mean, the line's just as big as the X-Men line, so it could happen. But I think if there was the energy around them that there is around the X-Men line, it could happen. But honestly, all of these, think of every Spider-Man omnibus as if it's an event omnibus, because eventually they're all going to get remapped when the Masterworks line gets there. I think the X-Men line has proven that. Everybody forgets that Uncanny X-Men is always the furthest ahead Masterworks line because they started an exclusive line for it in 1975 with Giant Size and Uncanny 94 to kind of like jumped it ahead of all the other Masterworks. Yeah. So the Uncanny line is always like a portent of what's to come in terms of other Masterworks, but then also it's a portent of what's to come in terms of how they'll get mapped into omnibuses because it's always farther ahead of all the other lines. So the short answer to your question is I think we could get Spider-Man gap fillers if there was, I mean, we're about to have the Tiger Eyes poll, so get ready to vote for it. If it's the number one in the Tiger Eyes poll, maybe we get it next year.
Spider-Man would be a gap filler in that era.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the possibility.
Where's the mapping, y'all? Come through.
Well, we need to bring back my ex, Peter, because I'm seeing all these ideas now. A Storm omnibus, a Kitty Pryde omnibus.
I mean, Map My Web. That could be the first Map My Web. Figure out how to get from Alien Saga to, you know, McFarlane.
Why not the Amazing Spider Map?
How did we miss out on that? All right, I'm copywriting that right now. I'm going to call my copyright lawyer.
Peter, when are we getting another episode of Peter Organizes My X-Men Collection? Let's go for a live announcement right now.
Sometime in the next month, I hear.
Can we narrow it down a little bit? Like a Tuesday?
Like a Tuesday.
Getting closer to a Tuesday? Because now I know it's 3 parts. So we got to fit that in.
Part 4 should be you reading them to Peter.
I think I'm the only person on Earth who has read every single issue of Claremont X-Men out loud because I read them to my daughter. She could read them herself now. She's 10. But we started when she's 5. We finished Phalanx Covenant. We're like in the lead up to Legion Quest. And I've read every single X-Men book, X-Men, X-Factor, Wolverine, Excalibur, not Alpha Flight. She decided she didn't care, out loud. So I think I might be the only person on Earth that has done the full radio play with all of the voices of all of X-Men up to now issue 318.
Oh my God, can we do that one day? Let's get really drunk, or let me get really drunk on my birthday and do a radio play of the Dark Phoenix saga.
I would do that.
I have so many good voices for all of them that I've developed over the years. You know, my Wolverine voice. Hey kid, what are we gonna do? Don't make me.
Oh my God, but your voice takes a strain after a while, though.
It does.
Like it's got to strain your voice. Yeah. we're gonna have to do this, Peter. You've just.
I think that would be hilarious if we did I guess it's like a copyright thing, but it would really
definitely
fun if we did
worth it.
A charity live stream of us doing a live dramatization radio play of the Dark
Phoenix saga.
Oldfell would be Jean. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah.
Why, thank you.
I'd like to spin the wheel as to we don't get to pick our characters. We get to spin.
That would be fun too.
That would be
great.
Well, in the same way a real theater cold read is, right? When you do like your first cold read, it's not cast, and so usually you kind of just like pass the books out and you kind of just pick, and sometimes even you'll like swap at the act break just so everybody reads different stuff. But that's why cold reads are so fun, because it's like you kind of just, put it out there.
I like how being drunk is a prerequisite. Marcelo.
As long as I don't have to do an Australian character, I cannot do. You'd think living in New Zealand, I would have a decent Australian accent, but I can't. I can do Mora, I can do Banshee. I cannot do an Australian accent to save my life.
Oh, that'll be fun if we spin the roulette. That way we don't get the.
That would be funny.
Omar, for the Tiger Eye poll, do we still get to choose what omnis we want, or are you going to set up the options? We are working really hard to set up the options. As a matter of fact, I think James has reached out to Reddit to help out. Somebody's in charge of curating it, and then Josh Tiger Eyes has sent his list over to us, and we have like from the last few years. There's a lot of choices. I want to kick that off like I did the Marvel Omnibus poll to kind of explain the rules. I'll probably ask Peter to join me for that because it's so fun. It's a book that has never been made, and that's what makes it fun. And we can sit there and explain, why something like Johnny's Dream Spider-Man Omnibus is important.
Hey, can I give you
where it would fit in?
Positive comment feedback. The way you did the reprint poll video with Peter and Taylor, that was the way to do it going forward. That was better than the scrolling list. I loved that stream. That was one of the best streams you've ever done. So
thank you. That was the worst stream I've ever done.
Oh, were you feeling that bad? That
I was.
Omar was a wreck.
Yeah,
man. That should give you confidence going forward. If you can give me that type of show at that type of mental state, you're good.
People in the comments were like, well, Omar's feeling bad when he's not talking about Wolverine, because we got to the Wolverine section, and I was like,
that's right.
It's good. Oh man, I was doped up and miserable, and I had to excuse myself so many times to go and cough up a lung somewhere. So I muted myself while they talked about these things. So it was also the week like all these news broke out, like DC versus Marvel, and like all these things were happening, and I'm like, I'm losing my voice. Couldn't talk about anything. Omar, how about react to trade paperback collection stream? People can send one photo of their graphic novels Omni collections, and you guys can react to them like the manga ones on YouTube. There's manga ones on YouTube? Huh.
That's a cool idea.
You really want me to like critique though? I don't like to be like, I don't want anybody to feel bad. Everybody has their own kind of collections that they.
We can do like rate my setups though. On like.
I'll do it to my friends. I will make fun of Oddfell's collection behind them. But I'm not gonna do it to somebody that I don't know. That's just wrong.
Getting closer to bullying you on air, Oddfell.
Oh yeah, baby.
We're getting there.
Uncle Scrooge at Marvel. Yes, that came out of Jason Aaron writing Uncle Scrooge. Where did that come from? Yes, you're right. Let's judge Omar instead. Oh, dude, I could give you so much ammunition All I have to do is turn my camera around. You're going to be like, oh my God, I thought Jess's delusional piles were bad. What do you call that? I call that a delusional fortress, my friend.
Yeah. And you've got
I'm building
delusional boxes of figures, delusional video game piles.
Oh yeah, but I'm actually real about those because I was having a chat with the Omni Bros and they were talking about something. And I'm like, PS4. I haven't played PS2 games. I've missed on so many remakes. Near Mint Condition presents Roast My Shelf. I'll make you sign an agreement. I'll make people sign an agreement beforehand. You know, we make you cry. That's part of the stream. It's part of the fun.
But I think it could be. I mean, I think it could be from the perspective of like, let's talk about what we're excited about on that shelf. Let's talk about like what we wish we had that we don't have that's on that shelf. I think that actually could be really fun. Talk about like, oh, I would order. You know, it'd be a fun way for everybody, all these personalities in the chat. Everybody's seen their names highlighted so many times in the super chats, and it'd be a fun way to like get to know people a little bit better.
Yeah, I feel like if we do that, like my luck, it's gonna like the first person that sends us pictures, they're gonna forget to clean up like I don't know the dismembered body that they have in the background. I'm gonna
that's true. It's hard to take advantage of other people.
That's my life. I have a foot in a jar, and now I'm part of this crime scene. Damn it!
Wow, you pulled that up really quickly.
You know, there is also a scenario where like you just like everybody's shelves and you don't actually roast them. You just think they're cool. Just throwing that out there.
Shut up, Johnny. What fun is that?
Man, I'm not letting him roast my shelf. Shit.
This is a positive, honest community. Honesty is part of the positivity. I'll give it a positive.
He came into my house and he helped reorganize my shelves and didn't critique them at all.
No. I got
just where they were.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, he just didn't tell you what he was saying about them. Trust me, he told me all about it.
That I believe.
I have never talked about Jess behind his back. Everything I say about Jess, I say to his face. I specifically call him to make fun of him sometimes.
That's true. Always happy to pick up the phone.
Jess is doing all right. Shelfie showcase like what Omni Bros used to do that, right? Just hide the decomposing skeleton off frame. Honest and positive. Choose one. I choose honesty. Positive can be hard. Aaron is having a fun time writing TMNT and Scrooge. I want a crossover. I want that to happen. I want Uncle Scrooge to go and fight the Ninja Turtles or fight Master Splinter. Oh my gosh. I'm writing my own fanfic. That's amazing. Omar's going to see my Trouble hard. Yeah, you have to make fun of people for owning Trouble in Deluxe Edition. Like, that's just comes with it. Roast Omar for having every printing of Death and Return of Super. That's true. I've had every printing, but to be fair, I've given away the last printing in the first and second. So I only have one, but I do have the Deluxe Edition too. I don't even like that story, but it was voted in the top 10 evergreens. So good on that. That was good. Let me take a couple more questions and wrap it up and talk about next week and the importance of next week when we kick off the Marvel Epic reprint poll. Curtis and I are doing that with Taylor, and the importance of that is you get to vote. You don't have to be there live. You can join at any time. You can vote at any time, like the Marvel Omnibus reprint poll. And I will send that list over to David. He was very excited to get the list of the Omnis, by the way. I sent it to him on his birthday. He was off this week, and he's like, I told him, I was like, I'll send it to you Wednesday. And he was like, but I won't get it. I'm off. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll send it to you on your birthday. So he was excited to see the reprint poll. And we do the same thing with the Marvel Epics. And then we'll be doing Tiger Eyes poll, which is my most fun one to do. Because I think we're deciding on whether to let people choose 5 or 3. I think 5 is the way to go.
Tiger Eyes has always been 10.
I think we picked 3. What?
Yeah, but when you're doing that on a Google Doc, it's a nightmare. You're doing tier ranking.
I'm telling, man, do not take our ability to
fine. It's away. 10. All right. Good thing it's a democracy. All right. 10 it is. All right. So we're putting 10. People can choose 10 books that they want that have never existed, and I'll share that with Marvel too, because I'm sure they want to see some numbers and things like that out of curiosity.
Did you mention in the beginning of the stream that you're doing an absolute DC poll as well, or no?
We're doing a DC Omnibus reprint, absolute reprint poll too.
Oh, one poll for both or two?
Yeah, and I'll send that over to my contacts at DC, and then whatever they decide to do with it. Yeah.
Dark Victory. Sorry.
Trash it. I don't know. Whatever they do. And then do the most wanted DC Omnis, like we're doing the Marvel ones. So it should be fun. I don't think we're gonna get into license things. Just I don't know. Does Tiger Eyes do like? I can't remember if any.
Yeah, because Rom used to be. I think Rom used to be on it.
I can't. I've written in so many X-Men books. I don't remember what the other ones are. Been waiting for this since your overview video. Oh. And let's see, vote for Amazing Spider-Man 3 and 7. 5 No, vote for what you need, for what you want. I have a question for Peter. What was up with Alf Crossing in Evolutionary War? Oh, yes.
Sounds like a Curtis question to me, but I guess since he's not here. I mean, Marvel can always spoof themselves, right? And they have a long history of having a main event and then like having some kind of tie-in book that's not really a tie-in, but kind of like jokingly wink winks, like, oh, what if I was part of this? They even did that with some Marvel 616 characters during Civil War, where they like weren't really in Civil War, but it was kind of like joke Civil War. I think Next Wave had like a jokey Civil War cover treatment, and where they weren't actually participating in Civil War. Yeah, right, exactly. So Alpha is just that, like it's kind of a tie-in if you want to believe that, but it was just the ability for somebody doing a Marvel book to kind of spoof that they were doing Evolutionary War, which clearly there'd be no legal ramification of doing because they all work and are released by Marvel.
So yeah, that one's a lot. That's the one I look forward to, the Tiger Eyes one, and then it'll be interesting.
I thought the one you look forward to is the Alf Omnibus.
No one looks forward to that. So
vote Alf. Tiger Eyes. Here's your chance on the Tiger Eyes poll to vote Alf.
Please don't do that.
Everyone go type that now. Add it to the Google Doc.
I'm surprised you're not typing for Phoenix Volume 3. Next Wave Omnibus, another idea for my list.
I would love a Rachel Omnibus.
Oh, that would be a really good one, honestly.
Because that's what Phoenix 3 would have to be.
Yeah, it would be that. And honestly, it would be like Phoenix End Song and War Song. Maybe that would be the way to get X-Men Red, one of my favorite, most underrated series, into an oversized hardcover format.
X-Men Red was really good.
Yeah. That was Tom
Taylor one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
Did not last long enough. Has there been any word if there would be Transformers Omnis or what format? So far, rumors and leaks are showing compendiums from Skybound, but no official thing yet. Shogun Warriors, Quest Probe, X-Men Heroes for Hope. Can I just get a gallery edition of that if I can't get it anywhere else? That would be so awesome.
Hey, do they ever reprint the gallery editions? Because we ever do a poll of that when more come out? Or
they don't really reprint them, unfortunately. So otherwise, unless they start to, then.
What's I'm saying is can there be a push for that? Because like things like, dude, that Weapon X one that went out so quick. I think like there was a Venom one that you can't get anymore. It's just seemed like people would like those or do like them.
Some of them, yeah. X-Men Red has the best genes. Sorry, Hickman.
Hard agree.
It's a good version of her.
Great book. Max
Alf will be one to give him a. What we need is another. Well, I was trying to think. We need 1965, right? Or maybe they'll skip the 60s and go with something big like 1975 with giant size X-Men. I mean, there's honestly a following for those books, but I mean, Marvel 75, everything was superheroes by then, and everything has been collected almost. All right, but that's it, everybody. I just want to thank my wonderful co-hosts for this amazing panel, and thank you everybody at Marvel for letting us do this early. All right, so I'm going to go from this way down to OmniDog. Let you all tell you a little bit about yourselves. Rachel over G. Johnny, kick it off. Who are you? Where can people see you?
Dying Breed Collectors. Instagram's the best spot at Dying Breed Collectors. You want to do in person, C2E2 at McCormick Place here in Chicago, Illinois, April 26th, 7th, and 8th of 2024. Going to be hanging out there selling books. I'm going to have one of I'm gonna have one of the bigger booths in that whole place. Like I got my placement today, so you will not be able to miss me. If you want to, and if you are coming by and you're looking for any books, you can reach out to me ahead of time, and like that's a great spot to get them handed to you, and you don't have to go through shipping. You don't have to pay for that stuff, all that, and you can see Oldfell and Omar maybe.
Well, if I'm gonna be at your booth, we're gonna charge. Like, yeah,
and
I'm gonna use me as a booth babe. I'm gonna be charging, Johnny.
I was gonna say, is Omar the booth babe? Booth babe Omar?
Yeah. What's up?
I would get an action figure of that.
Oddfell, who are you?
Yes, hello. I am a cosplayer over on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And over here on YouTube, I post some comic videos, some statue and toy videos, as well as occasional cosplay reels. Oddfell's my handle everywhere, and I will also be at C2E2. So if you see me, definitely say hi.
Okay, and Peter, who are you, buddy?
I'm known throughout the comic book internet as Crisis, spelt with a K. My home on the internet is crushingcrisis.com, where I have guides to so many Marvel characters, every single one that we talked about on the show, explaining who they are, what are their books, what order do they go in, how can you read their greatest hits, all of those types of things. And I also cover a lot of Drag Race as well. So if you go to crushingcrisis.com, you'll see Marvel new releases and new guides as they come out.
Excellent, excellent. And my buddy to my right, who are you, sir?
I'm Omnidog from Omnidog's Vault on YouTube, Omnidogs_Vault on Instagram, and there's a Discord, Omnidog's Discord or something. So I will be getting Peter on my show in March for at least one and possibly two X-Men organizational videos, and these need to happen sooner rather than later, because then I can get started on reading them, which is
that's going to be the hardest part.
That's the delusional part. Yeah, that's why.
That's when you read volume 1 and you're like, nope, this
isn't for me. Yeah, I'll have to sell them all. So yeah, thanks for having me on the show. And Saturday at 1:00, I am on with Kristen on my show, The Omnicat, 1 p.m. this Saturday.
Yes, 0 Hour. I just I got to read 2 more of the miniseries. Thank God I don't have to read the whole thing. 2 more of the
How
issues.
dare you?
Have you read 0 Hour? I've read it.
I love 0 Hour.
Oh, we need to talk, Pete.
For real?
I like aspects of it. I like the idea of what they were trying to do. They were trying to set.
That was my Crisis. That's why I'm named Crisis.
Really? Okay. That's good for you. I like Avengers: The Crossing. Okay.
I'd love to know what you were really going to say there before you pivoted to good for you.
I'll save it for after this.
Omar's afraid to get me on DC shows because there'll be too much truth.
Oh my God. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to check out cheapgraphicnovels.com. They're based out of the US, and they have they give you free shipping on your first or your next order after your first one if you mention us at the checkout. That's cheapgraphicnovels.com, where you can pre-order omnis such as Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 2 in case you missed it, or Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 3. Wait a second, Peter. You like 0 Hour, but you don't like
Tune in next time.
Yes, that is a to be continued question right there if I ever saw one.